Yeah, if you Snapchat us you're growing a cilantro plant. Your
Yeah,
quote unquote cilantro plant.
yeah, I guess you could call it cilantro. Could be anything,
Yeah,
really. Anything
could be.
green that comes from the ground, like broccoli.
That's true.
What are you gonna do with that cilantro, Dav?
Well, you know how in Minecraft, if you like leash your cats around your house, it keeps creepers away?
I have sex instead of playing Minecraft, so I don't really get the finer details of it, but I follow in general.
Yeah, just so you know, that is like a form of security in Minecraft, and you'll keeping the cats out so the creepers stay away. I'm putting up veggies around my perimeter to keep certain people who don't like veggies away.
Yeah.
That's like
We're gonna
a deep cut joke about one of our friends, but I do know people that, like there's plenty of people who are revolted by veggies. This comedian I know has like a childish aversion to veggies. So what people do is they put him in interviews with people he really, really wants to speak to, like he idolizes, but he has to take a bite of a vegetable to ask a question.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea, honestly.
Yeah.
That is a really, really good idea. Just like in general, if people don't like veggies, I feel like we're just morally not going to work out. You know what I mean?
He's a little like, I mean, like, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna.
Are you
Sorry.
are you saying that we need like eugenics, but for people who don't like veggies?
Now, see, that is not at all what I said, like, even in the slightest bit. That's kind of a very big jump from I don't like people who don't like veggies to we should commit genocide against all the people who don't like vegetables.
Yeah, Dev,
Well,
you broke up there for a little bit, so all I heard was we should commit genocide against people who don't like vegetables. So I'm
Oh,
glad we're in
like,
agreement.
I think it's pretty. I can make the case that an aversion to veggies is not necessarily a blanket dislike so much as a failure to find the veggie you're fond of. Because I think I don't. I think if I'm being as generous as possible, you're probably just a bit closed minded. Haven't tried every veggie yet.
Green eggs and ham it.
but
I agree. That
it's a pretty
I
good sign that your parents like didn't know how to cook for you. You know what I mean?
That's the thing, yeah. Because growing up, it was like, ugh, Brussels sprouts. But my dad made Brussels sprouts once, and he like did it up in olive oil with some pepper and spices. And I was like, why is everyone complaining about Brussels sprouts? These are fucking great.
Yeah, they are great. Most vegetables are fantastic if you like know what salt is.
That's
I
true.
do. I am easily embarrassed when someone offers me a fruit that I don't know because I have a broad aversion to different rubber tree fruits like banana and avocado. They give me a nauseous allergic reaction. My mouth gets scratchy. But so here's the thing. Maybe we'll cut this. So at the school I work at, there's every other day the cafeteria brings around snack, and it's some kind of fruit, and there's some exotic choices there. And I don't want to look like a baby in front of the nutritional advisor who brings it because I think she's cute. So I've tried a lot of exotic fruits that I might not have otherwise. So if we get someone hot, then everyone will try vegetables. You don't want to look like a baby in front of someone who is offering you an exotic vegetable. You want to look worldly.
Tommy's like, yeah, there was this really cool thing. It was like a green lemon.
Yeah, you're basically the continental breakfast guy from Key and Peele.
Yeah. No, we've tried I'm blanking on the name. There's like a Mexican kind of squash that I never would have tried before. What else? Yellow watermelon I did not even know existed. That was tasty. Uh Rainier cherries are in season. Those are my personal like all-time favorite. I could like go to town on some Rainier cherries. That's been great for my diet.
Yeah, I mean yellow watermelon's pretty easy to grow. You just have to like piss on it instead of water it with normal water.
Oh, so like the water in the melon. So they should call it piss melon.
That's basically what it is. It's a piss melon. I mean, didn't you taste the piss?
Well, no wonder I suddenly felt so brave, because I was feeling kind of scared that day, but then I drank my grandson's pee.
Oh, yes.
You don't get to give context for that line, Tommy.
Well, I've quoted it before, like when we talk about Borderlands. We talked about the Borderlands trailer, and I was like,
yeah, that's true.
why was Tiny Tina scared? She drank pee. Rev up those fryers and fill those champagne glasses to the tippy top. It's West Coast Toast and Roast with Tommy, Will, and Dav. Welcome back to West Coast Toast and Roast. I'm really scared and I'm drinking some pee, and I'm Tommy.
And we haven't had a podcast since I came out, so I'm trans and I'm Will.
And I'm not like trans or anything, but I think this is a really good time for me to come out as diabetic, and I'm Dav.
I did once have a podcast host I follow come out as trans on the air, and the tone of the podcast in general was very goofy and irreverent, and I kind of couldn't tell if she was joking or not. So I feel like I really want to like put a pin in the fact that Will is not joking and she is a woman, and she is a wonderful woman at that.
Oh, thank you, Sherman.
Absolutely. How does it feel? Month one of womanhood.
Well, I mean, it feels pretty fucking good, SpongeBob.
Yeah, okay, that's great. First thing, no,
Yeah, we're gonna be interrupting you a lot more from now on.
we do. Because, like, women's voices on podcasts.
Yeah.
But no, if you come for Will, for any, like, bias-related reasons, I'm stuffing you in a locker, buddy.
You're gonna kill him.
Kill him. One way or another. Trans rights.
Exactly.
We are skipping Trailer Life or Death this month because we've been gone for a little while because somebody got pneumonia.
Somebody almost died. My voice is still not even completely better.
Dav, let me tell you, we made a recording on the dot in the last week of the month. What day is it, Dav?
It appears to be, not the last end of the month. It appears to be the beginning of a new month right now.
It is the beginning of a new month. So are we going to record again at the end of this month? Are we just going to start recording at the beginning of months? Because that's going to fuck up the toasties. It's chaos. Cats and dogs are living together all because you had to go and have your selfish fucking near-death experience.
Cats and dogs should not be living together. All cats are girls. All dogs are boys, and I don't appreciate this like co-ed living situation they got going on.
Kind of like how beer is for boys and wine is for girls.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, Will?
Absolutely.
That was apparently your least favorite part of Final Destination.
That movie is so stupid.
The movie is peak, alright?
You know what else is peak? The Garfield movie. So, you know what? I hyped up that we were doing the Garfiosa double feature. I'm actually kind of bummed out because there's a better name for it. I didn't learn till like the day of.
What's that?
Lasagna Taylor Joy.
That is a pretty good one too, but
that's way better. I wish I knew it earlier.
You can't go back.
Yeah, we can go back in time. I wish you could go back in time and see Furiosa for the first time again, but that's not. So we saw a lot of movies and things during the long absence. I guess so. Yeah, Garfiosa, Lasagna Taylor Joy. We saw the Garfield movie, which no one likes. It's not gotten well received. I thought it was kind of cute for whatever it was worth. I really like the animation style of it. I really like the art of it. I agree the script is like a little dumb, but like it kind of took me back a bit to like Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, where you could just have like really cartoony gags. And I enjoyed that about it. And I think I was like really bereft when Will was like, no, I didn't see that.
You did give it a pretty good score. It seemed like you enjoyed it quite a bit.
That is true.
I think I gave it like an 8, and then I realized I was probably just a little overexcited, and I bumped it down to a 7. Still think it's cute though. The script could have used some punching up. I kind of like my pitch better, where they acknowledge John Arbuckle is a cartoonist and he writes the Garfield comic, and like all kind of goes viral. Garfield doesn't like the attention, so that's why he like kind of seeks out his dad and his origins. I feel like if I was in that writing room, people would have liked that movie. I'm just saying it would have gone down better.
Yeah,
just like 9/11.
You still would have to cast Chris Pratt, so.
Yeah.
I think it needs that authentic Italian touch.
Yeah.
I mean, the movie was doomed to fail since it does have something to do with Italy, and we all know that Italians are, don't get me started.
Well, if you count Garfield being birthed in Garfield canonically, we don't see it in this particular film, but I think Jim Davis has said he was born in an Italian restaurant, so he is Italian.
Of course he fucking is.
That's completely fair.
Yeah. I really like this movie's character designs. There's 2 dogs named Nolan and Roland who are a big Shar-Pei and a little I can't remember the breed. Those hyperactive dogs with no hair, and they're fucking phenomenal. And I think this is like the best character designs the Garfield IP has ever had, which is saying a lot because it's like been around a long time. It's not the weird, ugly Bill Murray Garfield. I'm not saying everyone needs to love it just because of that, but for what it was, I thought it was cute. I thought it was fun.
I thought the animation was very good, but the story was kind of, as Billy Butcher says, bollocks.
Yeah.
Also, some of the performances were like not very good. Like the dude who was playing the big dog was doing so great, and then there's a scene where he gets pepper, like the pepper at an Italian restaurant in his eyes, and he just kind of goes, "Ow!"
I don't specifically remember that, to be honest with you, but that sounds about right.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, that's a fight scene where Garfield just uses DoorDash to drone in a bunch of pizza boxes, and he weaponizes salad dressing. It's fucking great. Nick All-Star Brawl. Take fucking notes. I don't want to see Garfield special being food coming to life again. I want a pizza drone attack. That's where we need to be at.
Yeah, speaking of specifically remembering things, to be completely honest, I don't really remember anything about this movie, but I do have some pretty fond memories of when we went to Olive Garden afterward and had some wonderful, delicious Italian food.
We fucking got stoned, and they were in theme. The little menu chalkboard had little Garfield on it. Man, the unlimited soup salad breadsticks are something else when you're a little stoned, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that's true.
There was a chocolate lasagna, but I think we were too full for that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then, second half of the double feature was Furiosa. You're well aware.
Worse. No! I'm kidding.
Which you're well aware I was really, really looking forward to. Just had my name all over it. And shocker, it's my favorite movie of the year. And a lot of people are comparing it unfavorably to Fury Road. A lot of people are making fun of how it didn't do so well at the box office. And I think those people should, be shot or something. Because I think this is my 4th favorite movie ever. It jumped into my Letterboxd top 4. And I was worried I was just a little too overexcited. So I saw it again, and I felt even more certain because I fucking love this movie.
Okay, Will, you are gonna have to call that out, because if I'm gonna get called out for genociding people who don't like vegetables, and Tommy's gonna say that people who don't like Furiosa should be shot.
See, the funny thing was, I was about to say that, but I wanted to let Tommy finish first before I could make the joke. Yeah, you enjoy being a genocider, Tommy?
I am. You know what? I'm thrilled to be like Furiosa's strongest soldier. There I am, the only one picking up the free souvenir poster. I don't care. I have it now. Man, and no, this is like, I don't think it's fun to have a favorite of the year that you don't have to fight for a little. Dune Part 2, I finally gave it a chance. Pretty solid. Probably even better than Furiosa in some technical aspects if I ran the numbers, but I think I fucking don't give a fuck. If I'm like getting as fired up as I am about Furiosa, then like, that's the one, baby. Golly, I don't know where to begin. I love this fucking movie. Where would you both start?
I would say the effects and stunts are like absolutely incredible. I think, like, honestly, they're might be a little better than Fury Road.
Really?
The effects? Oh yeah. I might like the design and Fury Road as a whole a bit more, but I think that like some of the stuff they do in this movie is like absolutely insane.
The Bomby Knocker.
Yeah.
The Bomby Knocker! Golly, yeah. Yeah, I think they mentioned that it was, because, like, I'm not blaming people, but there is, like, there was this slight cloud of, like, oh, it's another sequel, it's another CG-heavy action flick, like a superhero movie. When you're doing a movie with George Miller, you're going out to the real fucking desert. And that's why Tom Hardy and Charlize can't fucking do it again, because most people can only endure it once. And I think the war rig fight scene, I think they said it was like 15 days of shooting, or like something crazy.
No, I remember if it's the one I'm thinking of, it was like 70.
Yes, yeah, no, I'm getting, because it was like 78 days for a 15-minute fight scene. You're correct. I was getting my numbers confused.
It was very good, honestly.
And like, people, I'm going to be on my soapbox for a while. I'm going to be a little annoying. But there was a lot of like, oh, but everything was just to explain why things are the way they are in Fury Road, like losing her arm or whatever. And listen, here's what was something I learned that blew my goddamn mind. George Miller has had the idea of Furiosa's backstory for so long that when he was auditioning actors for Max and Furiosa in Fury Road, because they don't share a lot of dialogue together, he used the dialogue between Furiosa and Dementis in the desert from this movie.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so, like, it was Tom Hardy and Charlize reading those parts, and, like, Jeremy Renner and Kat Dennings were, like, the runners-up who were also reading those lines. So that's how long he's been certain of what Furiosa's background is. Maybe he's changed things here and there, like, stuff gets shifted around, but, like, if there's complaints of like, oh, this kind of recontextualizes this in Fury Road. And I feel like if George Miller has had it mapped out for this long, it kind of objectively doesn't.
Yeah, no, I
just
think
didn't
that's
know.
a good point.
Man, I think I don't know. Like, it's just like exactly my shit. I think like Anya Taylor-Joy is like my favorite like Gen Z superstar and like the most consistent modern actor that I think is just like knocking it out of the park for me. And she's like throwing out haymakers. Oh, she only has 30 lines in this, but she like, she has those big ass eyeballs for a reason. She emotes so much. I love this fucking movie. Go on and on.
I do wish there was a bit more of her than the younger version of her, though.
Don't disagree. Yeah. I don't disagree. But I think yeah.
Without going into spoilers, there's that really awkward like time skip that I think is some people have been trying to say like, oh, not everything needs to be explained, but I don't know. The thing is, it would have made a lot of things a lot more, like, emotionally hit a lot better if we did get a little bit more than just that time jump that happens. But I still think overall, like, everything works very well on its own.
Yeah.
Are you saying you wish we just saw more, like, between when she is, like, kind of goes into her disguise and when we catch back up with her?
Specifically when she, well, because, yeah, I guess that would be it, but that's, like, when she got into the, like, with the dude who looks like Snake.
Oh, yeah. Actually, yeah, I don't disagree.
Kojima really loved this movie, though.
Yeah. He's got good taste in the ladies and in film. All I'll say about that. Yeah, I would have liked to have seen more of her and Pre-Jack. I guess, like, what I kind of keep coming back to is that the first thing you see, and the first thing, I'm not saying, like, I disagree, but whenever I kind of feel like, oh, I wish I saw more, the first thing you see in this movie, I think his name is, like, the History Keeper or the History Man, and you get the idea that he's telling the story. So any kind of gaps there, I kind of get just, like, a mythic vibe off of. Because I kind of, as much as I would have liked to have seen more of their relationship or more of their adventures together, the fact that there's just, like, this really resonant image of them pressing their foreheads together in affection just strikes me as very, like, myth-like. Like, that's a statue you'd come across of two Greek warriors or whatever. But that, that's largely an excuse. I kind of don't disagree that sometimes the time jumps could be a little like, I wish I could have seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this was planned to be an anime. I suppose that might be a byeffect of that, is that if this were a 12-episode thing, this could have, really fleshed out some of those. We don't see the 40-day war either, and that's a bit of a bummer. But also, again, it is just like, if it's just a platform to get this character from point A to point B, I'm cool with it. But, like, it was, in fact, Last Night in Soho that George Miller sat down and watched that made him want Anya Taylor-Joy for Furiosa. And, like, I just remember reading that headline and being like, that's going to be awesome in, like, 5-ish years when it comes out. And here we are, and it fucking rules. So I'm kind of glad that's the result that we got.
Do you wish, like, a bit selfishly, that it was an anime? I think it could have possibly been, like, one of the best anime ever made.
Oh, yeah.
But I think, like, with what we got was really solid. Like, I really enjoyed it, and it's very long, but, like, I think it's a good story.
It's so fucking great. I don't disagree. Like, there are small side characters I wish we saw more of. I love, he's in Fury Road too, but I love Rictus and Scrotus, the fucking penis brothers, Immortan Joe's fuck-up sons. Like, if there was an anime episode devoted more to them, I'd be all over that. But I think the fact that I want them ravenous for more tells me all I need about how much I love this fucking movie.
Yeah, that's super fair.
Yeah. It's just, I guess it is a bummer that, I guess, the Mad Max movies have never been, like, gigantic successes. And from what I hear, they got a lot of funding from Australia, because George Miller doesn't live in our hellscape. He's Australian. So who knows? We might get The Wasteland someday. Some people are a little nervous about it. You know what? And, like, as much of a bummer as it is that it kind of underperformed, I'm living in the world where we have Furiosa. So I'm cool with it. I'm like, you know what? I have my piece. I don't know. We also saw Inside Out 2, which I kind of was scared would be like a Poochie movie. It's like, oh, here's a bunch of crazy new emotions. And, like, I was worried they would, like, stretch that premise kind of thin. And, it didn't, like, blow my fucking mind. But I was like, oh, there's actually still some, like, really authentic work here. I was I was generally just really happy with how this one came out. It actually kind of took me back to the first Inside Out, which I watched. That movie came out the summer I was going from high school to college. And since that movie so much is about growing up and accepting change and hard transitions, I think I saw it in theaters like 3 times because I was just coping really hard. And this one, like, I don't see myself repeating it as obsessively. I found that they still like put together some strong metaphors. The anxiety character, could have just easily been like, "Oh, relatable. We all have anxiety," but they like lay out some ways it can really impact you and some constructive ways to kind of deal with that and to hand young kids potentially in the audience or people of all ages those tools. I think is super awesome. So I actually really liked it.
I'll say I was very happy that it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. It's like a 7 out of 10 for me. I enjoyed it. I do agree that like a lot of the work with the new emotions is mostly good. Like, I don't really think Ennui did anything besides just like sit there occasionally.
Yeah.
But it was colorful. It was actually like a good story. Like looking between like this and a sequel like Frozen 2 is night and day. So I'm just
Absolutely.
like, I'm pleased that it's not like the Disney slop that we've been getting.
I had a good time with it, I'd say. Definitely liked it more than Elemental or Lightyear. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's just like modern Disney comedy, but I feel like a lot of the humor fell pretty flat for me, at least. Like the characters that are supposed to be like children's show breaking the fourth wall sort of thing were funny conceptually, but I feel like the way they were pulled off was a little overproduced and it didn't really mesh with what it should look like, which is kind of a theme with the multimedia attempts in this film. There's also the video game RPG character who just does not look quite right. But I think beyond that, it's overall, it's a pretty good story. And yeah, I mean, I had like Will said, just a better time with it than most of the slop that Disney has been putting out lately.
One of the characters in Riley's head is Bloofy, who is a preschool character, like Dav pointed out, that like acknowledges that Riley keeps it a secret that she still likes him. And like, could you imagine being someone past the age of preschool and still watching a talking dog show for preschoolers? That'd be fucking insane. Like,
Did you hear that the new Bluey episodes are dropping?
oh shit!
Gotta go watch those right now.
Right now, pause the record. Yeah, I like echoing what Will said. I thought like I was kind of like, what are we gonna do with embarrassment? Does he just kind of take up space? I love that he was kind of the one that rebelled against the other new wave of emotions, because it's as if Riley deep down is embarrassed she's acting the way she is. So they kind of thread that really well. It's not arbitrary just to move the story forward.
It does kind of remind me.
Sorry,
no, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say Envy, of course, also voiced by Iowa Debris, who's like the champion. All I want to point out. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say that just kind of reminds me of another, I guess, kind of issue I take with this movie, which is introducing all of these things as completely new emotions. I feel like it makes sense, and it would make a lot of sense for like just anxiety to come in and be this effectively this new emotion that is taking over Riley's brain as like a representation of a mental illness that has basically become so strong that it's taking over. But I feel like having these more like complicated, what are basically just mixes of the other emotions, like embarrassment and ennui, kind of be their own emotions as well, is stretching it feels more like they just want more characters they can sell toys of.
We other certified realistic depiction of a panic attack moment.
That's true, yes. It was one of those.
I think it was a little unavoidable in the context of this film, but I don't...
Yeah.
I thought, I agree they, like, pull off anxiety pretty well, because when it was first revealed, oh, the first new one is anxiety, I was like, isn't that kind of like fear? But I think they do a good job of, like, kind of lining up how anxiety and fear are kind of different on that smaller level. And I agree, anxiety is something that's complex in a way that maybe you don't intellectualize it till a certain age. Like, up until that point, you're just kind of scared of stuff, or obviously simplifying a bit. I do, when you say, like, I wonder if there was some approach of, like, because Inside Out 1 ends with, like, joy and sadness form a mixed emotion associated with a memory, and that's kind of the breakthrough. And I wonder if there was at some point, like, these mixed emotion memories manifest those new emotions. Like, maybe ennui is sadness and disgust together, and envy is, like, joy and anger together off the top of my head. And I wonder if they just want to dodge any implications of, like, this isn't a reproduction thing. They're not fucking. I don't know. I'm kind of spitballing here. But it wouldn't surprise me if that was, like, some creative discussion at some point along the way.
I feel like that would be going way too far just to avoid something that most people probably even wouldn't really, like, take away from that, you know? Like, because we see like the parents' emotions, and they have like their 5 main ones, and then I think we see like a glimpse of, I think it was the dad, and like his anxiety kind of like peaks out for a little bit, and then just gets like shut back down. And but it like begs the question of like, okay, do the parents not regularly feel like envy or boredom, or, you know, nostalgia was another one that was they had to send back because apparently Riley isn't old enough to experience nostalgia, which doesn't make any sense because, like, of course,
listen,
nostalgia even back then.
She hasn't even discovered Channel Awesome yet.
Yeah, 100%. Yes. So yeah, it seems like it introduces a little bit too much to the lore of this whole thing. And I know it's not something you're really supposed to think about that hard, but it's still just, it feels like a little bit too much. Like, they're just really trying very hard to have more marketable characters.
And, like, you know, I kind of agree. Like, I'm a little bit on the side of, like, well, you know, if you overthink it, it's just less fun. But I also feel as though if we don't think like you a bit, that it's a slippery slope from getting from Inside Out to something like Elemental, where it's, like, pure nonsense, you know?
Right. Like, they shouldn't make an Inside Out 3 if they're gonna add even more emotions onto the pile.
Amy Poehler says she wants to do, like, an adult Inside Out, which is, like, me taking my kid to see the Inside Out where 32-year-old Riley gets stressed out about credit card debt, and I'm crying, and my child is like, what the fuck?
I don't even hate the idea of that concept as long as they went about it the right way.
I think they want to do a TV show spin-off about dreams and how dreams work in this lore, which I guess is, like, distant enough to work out.
I suppose. I feel, well, I mean, there's the dream, like, studio where they draw the shit.
Oh, is that? Yeah. So I guess I might just focus on those characters a bit.
Yeah.
It is kind of a shame that Pixar is pretty much all but confirmed that they're going to be focusing on sequels.
But I feel like I saw something, because Pete Docter went up all on his high horse, and there was these quotes that were like, oh, they're not supposed to be therapy sessions, we want broad, marketable ideas. And then I feel like someone kind of pointed out that if you get down to it, he was being kind of taken out of context. But I think with how astronomically Inside Out 2 overperformed, I do think that all I'm going to say is we should all go see Elio next year when it finally comes out, so we can show that we want some fresh ideas as well.
Yeah, but another key is that the fresh ideas have to be good. Like, Elemental was a new property.
That's true.
And it performed decently, but it probably would have performed better if it was a good movie.
Yeah.
And Toy Story 5 is already confirmed, and I just cannot take it anymore. Can't take it anymore. Get me out of here.
And that's like, because Lightyear was such a dud, it like crashed and burned, and they put Turning Red and Soul, which were like pretty much universally really well liked, on streaming. So they really have no proof to put their money where their damn mouth is. So I don't know. I guess we'll see. I hope Elio is good. It looks cute. Looks fun. We were supposed to see it this year, but strikes happened. So now we're waiting another year. And speaking of little multicolored critters that like anyone could draw, we also all watched Smiling Fred. And I think I said earlier on this pod when we were talking about the trailer that I was like getting to be fully Smiling Friend pilled. And now I don't think I've hung out with either of you recently without saying I have to go see my Dr. Monster. So that's...
It's gotten bad.
Yeah. Where are you both at with it?
I think there's... The season was like... I think I like it about as much as the previous season too. Definitely has my favorite episode, the Gwimbly episode. And there are like a few jokes that don't work, but overall I think it's just like solid enough to just really be like, I don't know, just like it's weird to say, but like a good addition to the Smiling Friends canon. I'm not sure if that's the right way to say it, but like, I think it's very solid. It stood on the shoulders of the first season, and it came out really well. I'm glad that this exists, and I'm glad that it will continue to exist, if not a little cautious.
I thought it was fucking great. Maybe, admittedly, I didn't love it as much as the first season, but it's very close. The Gwimbly episode was fantastic. There really is not a bad episode here. And I very much appreciate that we got confirmation that Zoe was not crushed to death, and that Marge Simpson is indeed stacked and Glep can pull, because he's just cool like that.
Did you see people losing their goddamn minds over Zoe because they loved Sharp him so much?
Really?
Oh, you were outside of that shit store?
I was, I guess, on the more positive side of like Twitter, where people were excited to see that Zoe was back.
People loved the pairing of Charlie and Pim so much that they were like, I want Zoe fucking dead again, god damn it. Oh, I hope Smiling Friends isn't Rick and Morty. It's worse. It's a fucking Voltron.
Oh, God.
Very strange to root for relationships in this show.
I know. It's like when I was like on Tumblr in high school and in the South Park circles, people were like, we want Stan and Kyle canon. I'm like, I want like a funny episode about Mr. Towley or whatever. What the fuck are you guys on about?
I want them to do the Hey Andy Sweetie guy. Get him on the show.
If they got Mike and Melissa on Smiling Friends, Mike Cheto, I'd lose my goddamn mind. They can do it, I feel like. They've talked about it on Oni Plays, so it would make sense that it would tie back to that. Just because they always have a character in a different style, so they could just have someone who looks like Mike and like moves like him in that video the entire time.
I kind of hope, this is insane for me to say because I'm sick of multiverse shit. They should really do a multiverse thing if they can pull it off with fucking Leo and Satan and Hellbenders.
Crossover.
Just like, what if either of those shows got greenlit by Adult Swim in an alternate universe before Smiling Friends was?
What's that pedophile character that Zach used to draw all the time? Like, do you know who I mean?
No.
He made
I
like 10 cartoons of this like old child molester character. They were like really fucked up.
I don't recall that.
I wonder if I'm mixing up, because he's Psychic Pebbles, right?
Zach is Psychic Pebbles.
I wonder if I'm wrong, but I feel like he made like a bunch of cartoons about like. I was like, oh, let's see, hold on, Psychic.
There was the Leo and Satan. There was a pedophile in Leo and Satan, and he was like a recurring character.
That's not surprising.
He killed Leo's bus driver just so he could hijack the bus.
I
Full of
wonder if
children.
he's deleted them because they're just so fucked up. Okay, I can't find them. Maybe that was just like a weird. Maybe that's a trauma response I had or something, and it's no. Okay,
It doesn't sound completely made. Like I wouldn't doubt that existed.
Someone will jump into the comments and correct us.
They used to regularly hang out with Shadman. So.
It's going to be like a butterfly effect thing where, like, Tommy's doctor's going to come in and be like, for the last time, there was no Zach Hadel pedophile character. There was never a character like this that existed, Tommy.
Did I ever tell you both about, like, the weird hallucination I had? I saw, like, a headline. It was probably just someone on Twitter, like, fucking around. But someone claimed that in Star Wars The Last Jedi, Amy Adams would appear as Emperor Snoke's wife. And
that's interesting.
And I just like read that headline, kind of moved on, and then the movie came out, and I was like, "Oh, Snoke's wife is in there," and I like brought it up. I was like, "What? Did they like delete a scene?" To my friend Martin, he's like, "I don't remember reading about that. I think you just got tricked." Collective hallucinations.
Bill Nye died.
Oh yeah.
God,
Bill Nye's ghost.
I watched that part again, and it is like abundantly clear that to animate his death, they like actually looked at someone dying from electrocution. That's all I'll say.
What, your fucking expertise?
Yeah, no, I saw it again because I was like, that was my favorite part of the episode, and I like slowed down how it looked like the pose that Bill Nye was in, and like how he like slowly felt backwards. I'm like, yeah, I mean that adds up.
I think that's another like sick animation, silly little rotoscope.
Yeah. Oh. Green lovers come and rescue me. See, in response to you saying you didn't like it as much as season 1, I think what this season did a little better was that I feel like season 1 had a lot of episodes that were more like character focused. Like it was less, here's a smiling friend's client, and more, here's Pim learning about XYZ, or here's Charlie dealing with a demon or whatever. Whereas this one, I think, balances that really well, where I feel like I have a better idea of what they do at Smiling Friends, I guess. Like, there's a lot more, like, episodic clients, but they still have, like, that character-driven point to it. There's a lot, I'd say, there's not really a Charlie episode this time around. I guess kind of the James bit. But, like, there's still a Pim episode with Rotten the Snowman, while they still kind of explore the weird other characters like Professor Psychotic and
There's
President Jimble.
A Alan adventure.
A Alan adventure.
There's no Glep episode though.
There should never be a Glep episode. The less we know about him, the better.
There should be like many Glep episodes that directly contradict each other.
It's like, it turns out it's all like what Fillmore from the Alien Hunters telling fucked up stories. I don't know. Well, that was, I think, the last thing that we all saw and want to cover collectively. That means, Will, you have the first topic as we move forward.
Okay. So Jay and I went to see The Watchers a while back. this was one that I was very excited for. The commercials made it look very creepy. It's by, I think, M. Night Shyamalan's daughter. It's really bad. It is like I was expecting. I heard before we went in that it like got bad reviews, so I was like, oh, this is gonna be like kind of a letdown. It's like a 2 out of 10 movie. It's not a 1 out of 10 because the set designs are pretty good. But this movie is so profoundly stupid that it forgets to be scary or interesting. So the deal is, there's like this magical forest in, what was it, Ireland? And when you go in the forest, you can't get out because the forest like moves around you. That's what they say. And then there are these things called the Watchers that are like watching these people in the woods. And all of them are like extremely one-dimensional and basically just like, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, see her? She used to be a nurse. See him? He used to be a this. And it's like, I don't care. There's also, there's like an old woman who's like the leader of all of them. And she's like, okay, here are the rules. You don't go into the burrows. The burrows are like holes underground. You don't stay out after night. You don't go past these signs. In the movie, they break each rule and there are no consequences.
Oh, great.
Also, the monsters, I don't think you guys care about spoilers. The doctor monsters in this are fairies, which is already like very hard to make scary. But the deal with these is it's like, okay, they're ancient elven fairies that can take on the form of someone else. Cool. But that's all they do. They just like, they look like you. There's no real like threat as to why that's bad. It's not like if they observe you and look like you start to like look like them. It's just like literally there can be a fairy out there that looks exactly like this other person. So it's like, what the fuck is the point? And then all the fairies are like, they do things that don't make sense. The whole deal is like they're trying to watch the people to study them and like get a better sense of how to copy them, which is like cool. But then every time they're out at night, they try to kill them. Not to like eat them, but just to like kill them. So it's like, so what do you actually want here, guys? Do you want to like observe them? Do you want to copy them? Oh, and that's the other fucking thing. From what we see in the movie, the copying of someone is really easy. Like, it's almost instantaneous. So it's like, why do you need to set up like a place in the middle of the forest to watch them, to observe them, if you pretty much already fucking know everything? On top of that, there's a twist that the old lady who led them is also a fairy, but one that can like go out in the sunlight. Remember how I said that the forest was like a labyrinth, like it keeps shifting around so that like no one can leave? They Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I lost. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I was just saying, like, yeah, I follow.
Yeah. So how do they escape this forest, you might ask? They go in a straight line. They just walk forward.
Oh.
And they get to the outside. So it's like, is the forest like continuously... Okay, and it wasn't like the labyrinth part of it, because they're like, the first person who got here put up signs that was like, if you go past this, you wouldn't be able to come back without getting killed. But then like, and all of them are like, we tried to get out, we can't go past the signs. And then the solution is just to walk in a straight line? Like, they straight up say like, oh yeah, the forest, there's a path this way. What the fuck happened to it being a labyrinth? How is it interesting if it's just a forest?
Well, that sounds like it blows, yeah. Just before we were recording this, I was watching Delicious in Dungeon, which is an anime I'm enjoying. I probably won't talk about it in detail right here, but I was coincidentally watching a Shapeshifters episode where shapeshifters in that world take the form of people they see and read the minds of others to, like, glean their mannerisms. So, like, if a shapeshifter took my form, it would read the minds of you both and, like, become a caricature based on your idea of me. So there's, like, small exaggerations and inaccuracies here and there. And I just can't help but think back to that when you talk about how incurious the fairy shapeshifting is in this movie.
And another point about the like forest as a labyrinth, the main character, like the way she gets stuck in the forest is she's like driving through a road, she parks because her car died, she gets out of the car, she starts to walk through the forest, and she turns around and the car's not there, like the road has disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, so we can see that it is a labyrinth, it doesn't want you to get out, but at the same time, if you just walk straight, it's gonna be like, no, that's fine, you can leave. Like,
I see.
What the fuck is going on with this movie?
You know what?
Like, oh, go ahead.
I think House of Leaves would have been way scarier if the spiral staircase, instead of extending into, like, infinity, just turned into, like, an escalator instead.
Exactly. Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. Yeah, no, it's really bad. The monsters are, like, almost okay, but they just, like, for fairies, they just look like thin, tall people.
That's pretty scary.
Yeah, tall people are fucking horrific.
Especially thin, tall people.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, see, I was gonna say you could make fairies scary if you apply, like, a chimpanzee principle, where it's like they're tiny, but, like, they can rip your face off. Like, I'd be scared of that.
Or if your name is Crocker.
Yeah.
But yeah, The Watchers is really bad. There's also, this is going to be the last thing I say, because, like, the majority of it is just, like, them fucking around. There's a scene where the main character, like, this is at the very beginning, they go out to a club, at a bar in a wig and say their name is something different. And then after that, they go back into their car and they talk to this bird that they're taking, like, on the trip. And she just says, "What? This is just something I do sometimes." And it's never brought up again. It's never even, like, apropos to her character. Like, it's nothing about it. Nothing ever shows up again, and you think it's going to, because it's like, oh, this is a whole scene. Like, it's got to have some meaning. It doesn't. That she shows up. She's like, "Hey, I do this sometimes, Mr. Bird," and then it's just, that's it. That's a part of her character that doesn't add to anything or inform any of her decisions. And that's, like, one of the first scenes in the movie. And I think that very well sets the tone, because the rest of the movie is also awful and doesn't really know what to do.
Well, we watched Buckaroo Banzai this weekend, and there's a point where Jeff Goldblum and one other character are, like, running through a lab, and there's a watermelon on the counter. And one character goes, "What's that watermelon for?" And Jeff Goldblum goes, "I'll explain it later." And they never address it again. Which I read online, they put that scene in to test if the executives would follow up and ask, or if they were free to basically do whatever they want, and they didn't ask, so they did. And it sounds
That's really funny.
It sounds like a similar principle was applied here.
I think if we're being realistic about it, I think the Shyamalans just really need to have, like, their water supply inspected. Because there's something that is causing them to write really dumb shit for the last couple decades.
Hey,
Not Trap.
Don't shit on the beach that makes you old.
The beach that makes you old? What happens at the beach that makes you old?
Well,
the thing is,
I got on.
the weirdness is an art that M. Night, I feel, has kind of mastered, because Trap looks like a fucking masterpiece.
I enjoyed Split.
That's a pretty cool one, too.
It's a good
That's pretty much all I can say I've liked of his.
Will, do you have anything? Sorry.
I was just gonna say, then don't watch The Watchers, or they might watch you. Anyways, over to Dav.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna start off with a toast of a video game that I finished last week by the name of Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door.
Alright, pack it up, guys. The podcast has become woke.
Oh man, yeah, the discourse behind this game has not actually been as terrible as I expected, but where discourse can be found, it will be found. So
sorry, go ahead.
Were you gonna ask around what?
Or I was gonna say around Vivian, I take it.
Yes. Vivian is one of your party members who, in the original version of the game, on the Japanese side, was fairly explicitly trans, and in the English localization of the original GameCube game, they changed this. But that has been restored in this remake, along with major overhauls to the graphics, the music, general quality of life changes. They added a warp zone under the town, so missions like Find General White are no longer so annoying that it makes you sell the game.
Is that something that happened?
You finished the original, right?
I did, yeah.
Do you know the Find General White mission?
I think so, yeah.
Where you have to go to pretty much every single world that you've been to before, just constantly backtracking and looking for this one guy, and it turns out he's just in the town that you started in.
Oh fuck, I do remember that.
They added a warp zone, so that makes that whole mission take not even 10 minutes. It's great.
Wonderful.
They did also reduce the frame rate, though, unfortunately, from 60 frames per second to 30 frames per second. Given that it is a turn-based RPG, it's not that big of a deal, but man, is it just a shame that a game like this was not even something they could have bothered trying to get a full frame rate on. And I really hope the Switch 2 sets a new standard for this, because I'm sick and tired of pretending 30 FPS is okay.
I even, because, giving away the lead a bit that there's some Switch-related news to come later, I was like, all right, we're at the point where we can pack it in. Paper Mario's a good place to stop. And Nintendo was like, nah, a few more at 30 FPS.
Yep, that's true. I guess another change to this that I didn't even really know about until recently, but there was apparently a scene where Goombella gets catcalled by other Goombas in the original, and
are those other Goombas named David?
No.
Yeah, what a totally wacky and random joke from Will. Just another certified Will classic joke that doesn't really have any basis in anything. Sorry, I'm cracking myself up. Go ahead, Dab. Continue talking about Goombella.
Look, everybody has their worst hear me outs. And I think that's as far as I need to dig into the subject here. Anyway, they removed the scene where she gets catcalled. They changed it so that the Goombas are just making fun of Mario. I don't think anybody really knows why they made this change, but You know, it's fine. I think it fits the world of the wacky Mario Brothers better that, you know, women aren't being sexually harassed by someone who isn't Bowser. So...
That would be funny if they like, you know, put it in the middle and just had the Goomba's cat call Mario.
That would have been pretty great.
Mario's been kissed by 2 trans women. I have to surpass him.
There are pretty much every single woman you meet in the game flirts with Mario.
I'm gonna like go live at fucking Mario World, because if like tubby Italians are a draw there, then I'll be like the king.
Yeah, everybody loves Mario. And Luigi's off kind of doing his own thing as well. You can listen to his story in between missions if you want to, but he'll just like describe a long mission that's very similar to what you just went on. I think that's always pretty funny, because you'll come back with some like Scrimblow Bimblow new party member. It's like their own unique design and doesn't really say anything.
Are they like Mario enemies, or are they just like totally out of place?
No, yeah, they're Mario enemies. They're just like differently designed than your own distinctly designed party members, which is kind of funny. But yeah, I really do like the party in this. I think they're quite a bit of an upgrade from the party in the first Paper Mario, which I also enjoyed. They're well designed, they're well written, they've all got kind of their own unique dialogue depending on the situation, which is interesting. And the story is like, I'm not gonna say it's like a huge departure from the traditional Mario formula or anything, but this is probably about as like wacky and crazy as it gets for a Mario story. It really does go some very interesting directions that I was not expecting, and overall it's very cool. It's very emotionally engaging. There's like the later on when you're blasting off in a cannon, there's like this 2-minute long cutscene where just like thousands of bombs load up into the cannon for you, and it's a very like awesome cutscene, honestly. So there's some just like really big moments like that I really enjoyed, and honestly, just like the entire like final act of the game and the final boss and stuff were all really fun, and I thought they were pulled off very well. I'd say a lot better than I was expecting, to be honest.
So would you say it's mostly like you did mention fast travel was added, but it's ultimate. I guess in the Scott the Woz lexicon, is this remake, remaster, or reboot?
I'd say remake.
Oh, okay, all right.
It's not like Final Fantasy VII remake or something where it's like changing like the very fundamentals of the story or anything, but if you even like compare footage of the GameCube version to this for even like a second, it's immediately obvious just how much of an overhaul it is.
See, I like the GameCube version a lot, but I never actually finished it as a kid, so maybe I'll take up that opportunity.
I recommend it. It's not even like too long or anything. I think it in total took me like 40 to 50 hours, so it's like it's an RPG, but it's not like a Persona 5 or something.
Oh yeah. Mario.
That silly old Mario. Yeah, you beat the original a while back, Will, and I don't think you ever like really talked about it on here. I mean, the story and stuff's pretty much the same.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed the original, but like I think I went into it with a bit too high expectations, because pretty much all I'd heard about it is like, this is one of the greatest games of all time. And it's good, but I didn't quite see the greatest of all time part of it. But it is fun. And I do think it really shines in like the partners in specific.
No, yeah, it's great. I can honestly see why people kind of put it up on the pedestal that they do, because this is very much like if you're a kid who's used to like Mario Party and Super Mario 64, and then this is like one of your first RPGs, it would probably like blow your fucking mind. It's like very simple and accessible as an RPG, but it's still got like a very deep story, and all while being like in the Mario universe is pretty crazy.
Yeah. And just like the paper aesthetic has always been really cool. And they, because this one you can turn into like a paper airplane, if I recall correctly, right?
Yeah, you can turn into a paper airplane. You can like turn yourself flat so you can fit through like cracks and stuff.
Yeah.
Roll around on the floor. There's some interesting uses of that without like becoming obnoxious like some of the later Paper Mario entries do.
I like
Which,
that. No, yeah, I love that kind of shit. Sorry.
yeah, it's really cool just how that kind of fits together, and it's made me realize that, you know, because originally I was thinking, oh, you know what, maybe I'll play through all of the Paper Mario games and just kind of see where the series goes. But like after playing this one and just like seeing the highest of the highs the series can reach, I think I'm gonna play like Super Paper Mario and then stop there, because I really don't want to see the like sterilization this series goes through in the later entries, just because Nintendo doesn't want to have like uniquely designed Goombas walking around or something.
Which one's Super Paper Mario? What console is that for?
The Wii.
Okay.
So that was the
Awesome.
next one after this originally.
And sorry, did you play 64?
Yeah, I played the original Paper Mario 64. I beat that last year on my Steam Deck.
I would say maybe my favorite like retro magazine ad for a video game. Do you both remember that one?
I don't think so.
No.
It was just a picture of the Paper Mario design on the magazine page. There's like a dotted line around him with a little scissor, and it just says free demo.
Oh, that's pretty funny.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, that's pretty great.
Fucking, we have, they don't make them like they used to.
No, for sure. But you know, spoilers for the news section later. Maybe we'll see another franchise perhaps take a crack at being that good.
Oh yes.
So I'm gonna pass it off to Tommy.
All right. Before I get deep in the wings, I got to go take a piss. So you guys vamp for a second. Don't like reveal anything embarrassing about me. I'll be right back. I'll just be a sec.
Tommy
What?
shit himself every year of high school in every single class.
I want to toast girls.
Yeah,
No
we
worries.
fucking know, Tommy.
Can I get a hell yeah?
Sit down and fucking educate yourself. No, I mean, Girls, the HBO series. What happened was my apartment complex washing machines broke, and I had to ask my sister if I could do laundry at her place. And she is always rewatching one of her 5 favorite shows. This time it was Girls, and she got me really hooked on it because it's really fucking funny. It is the HBO dramedy created by completely normal and unproblematic person, Lena Dunham, about just 4 roughly millennial-aged young ladies in, you know, the hustle and bustle of the city. It's a little bit Sex in the City. It's a little bit, trying to think what else. It's just one of those, like, hangout shows, and it's cute, and it's fun, and it's, like, nasty, and it's, where to begin? So, I think what's really funny about the show, and, like, the hardest I laughed, how I knew I had to watch the rest, was Lena Dunham's character, Hannah, and my sister even explained it. She's like, this show is basically about the 4 worst people you could ever come across, the 4 worst people you know. And the impetus of the first episode is Hannah's parents cut her off financially. Hannah is Lena Dunham, and she is kind of like exploring living in the city and navigating how her privilege has kind of let her down in some ways. She's very like codependent. I think the hardest I laughed within the first season was she was in a job interview, and I think this sums up her character really well. She's, applying for a job. She's in the job interview, and she's making small talk. It seems to be going over really well. And the interviewer's like, "Well, I went to a Utica University," and she goes, "Oh, I know about Utica. I heard Utica has the highest number of sexual assaults in the country. I hear that number only went down after you left." And she like sticks her fingernail in her mouth, like, "Ooh, that was edgy of me." And the interviewer is like horrified she would say that. So you can see this is a woman who has had like social carte blanche with, people that would indulge her, and is now in the real world. And like there's a really fucked up episode where she lands a job, and her boss just like massages her one day, as some horrible bosses are wont to do. And she kind of talks it out with her coworkers, and they're like, "Oh yeah, Jim with the massages. But he gives good bonuses. We want to hold on to this job." So Hannah's first instinct is to fully seduce him into having sex with her, thinking it will get her even higher up the ladder.
Jesus, Bill.
Yeah, so that's like the class of human we're working with. So what's remarkable is that it's very funny for those, as I describe, it's funny to watch just this human disaster fucking torpedo into the earth. But like you look at interviews and such with Lena Dunham. Are either of you privy to the drama around her? And there's a lot.
I am not.
So I guess the easiest way I can describe it is that I don't know if Lena Dunham knows that her character isn't aspirational, because it seems like she behaves exactly like her in real life. Like she said, like the real woman, Lena Dunham, has said in interviews, "I wish I could have had an abortion so I would know what it's like," or something like that.
Oh, Jesus,
so it's like, so to watch the show and kind of dissect, does Lena Dunham find this aspirational or just really fucking funny? It's a weird, interesting exercise, and the good news is, as a net positive, it's pretty much funny no matter what. You also get like the earliest baby Adam Driver in this show. He's like the romantic lead with Hannah, and he's like this pretentious actor type who's yelling all the time. And they did the world he basically has a bowl cut, and they get his most tragic haircut out of the way within this point of his career. So the culture has girls to thank for that. Gosh, yeah, and there's Allison Williams, who's the lady from Mithrigan and what's it called? Get Out, who I have a really huge crush on, and she's exactly the kind of woman who would ruin my life because she thinks she wants to be a singer. So like you see, she like sings Kanye, she like melodizes Kanye West songs at weddings and shit, and it's like the total cringe humor of that. There's Shoshana, who I really like the actor for, but unfortunately the most work she's gotten was she's the villain's computer operator in Madam Web. And she plays like the youngest girl in the group, and she's very naive. She like gets concerned that people are addicted to Red Bull when they're picking up their friend from rehab. Shit like that. It's a good time. In conclusion, don't take this out of context. I like girls.
You don't want to get joe-catted. You better not say that.
Yeah, it'd be a real shame if it came out that you were straight.
I know, yeah, it's fucking embarrassing. Will, back to you.
Okay, so, I guess I roasted a movie. Now it's time to toast a game. And that game is Monster Hunter Rise. Monster Hunter has been a blind spot of my Capcom knowledge for a bit, and recently Dab gifted me 2 of the Monster Hunter games. I decided to try out Rise because number 1, it's the most recent. Number 2, it's got Akuma in it. And I was really delighted to find out that it's just like a ton of fun. There's not a lot in terms of story. It is very much just kind of like go kill monsters. Where it really shines is the customization and the kind of world that we inhabit. Very much based on like feudal Japan, and it has a huge like kabuki theme. Especially in what's really interesting with kabuki theater. When you have missions, when you're going out to hunt like the big monsters, it'll start with like that twang on I can't remember what the instrument's called, and then someone will be doing like a kabuki performance introducing the monster, which I think is really cool.
That's super cool.
Yeah, you get pals. You get a palico and a palamute, and one of them's a dog, the other's a cat. So you could just name them and customize them how you want. There's so much armor, and once again, it's nice, you can customize your character's appearance, so that way that, if you have a armor that's really strong, but you're like, this looks stupid, you don't have to wear it.
Oh, God.
Yeah. The gameplay is really fun. It's a lot like the Soul series, in the fact that, like, the attacks you do are very slow and don't do a lot of damage. There's lots of dodging and drinking potions. But the difference from this and any of the Soul series is that this game doesn't suck. No, I'm just joking. No, the big problem I have with the Soul series is that a lot of the mechanics in there, in my opinion at least, are there to create like artificial difficulty, like the fact that your attack and stamina, so like for running and dodging, is all in one bar. I don't really like that. For this, you do have a stamina bar, and it does go down, but it's only for dodging. So I felt like personally that there's a bit more freedom while still having like kind of a similar gameplay path. Also, and this is just like a side note, when Monster Hunter came to Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, the big thing I noticed, I was like, holy shit, she is so slow. Like, all her moves take ages to come out. Very, very faithful to the game. The weapons in the game, especially the big weapons, are extremely slow. And they're hard to, like, pick back up, too. So there is, like, a bit of challenge there. Like, you can swing the great sword on a monster, but then there's also the fact that, it takes time to recover because you are swinging like a 6-foot chunk of metal. But then you can dodge to cancel it, but you only have like the certain amount of dodge meter. I feel like it all comes through in a gameplay experience that's difficult, but still fun. And then also it's just, the world that they inhabit, the monsters, the designs, the armor, the weapons you can have is all really, like, top-notch. I can see why this is, like, a bit of a standout Capcom game. I'm really enjoying it so far.
Well, because I've played, like, a demo before, and it kind of didn't quite grab me. But I also just feel like when I think about Monster Hunter, my expectations are kind of all over the place. I guess I would ask, if you had to compare this to a game that it scratches a similar itch to by playing, what would you say? Because I almost go in it with like a Pokemon mindset when I know that's very surface level and not really accurate. What would you, and I know you compared it to Dark Souls, but is there like do you feel, is there something that it accomplishes something similar to in how you should approach it?
I mean, it is a lot similar to Dark Souls in the case that, like, there is also nonlinear storytelling, and you kind of have to, like, adventure and explore to get the story, rather than it just, like, you know, kind of being, like a traditional, you know, oh, here's the big bad monster and we gotta get him. Definitely not like Pokemon, because you kill the monsters. You have to kill these Doctor Monsters.
Is there, like...
I would say the gameplay loop is most similar to looter shooters like Borderlands, because you're using your current equipment to kill monsters that you are capable of killing, and then using your gains from that to get better equipment, and that's how the loop goes. You're just getting better and better equipment as you fight tougher and tougher monsters.
You know why it's also similar to Borderlands?
Is it going to be another pee drinking joke?
Let's hear it, Tommy. Let's hear it.
I was going to say, like, because they both have great movies. / joking / sarcastic.
/ you must die, Tommy.
You must die spaghetti dinner.
Yeah.
We sentence you to Cinna Massacre.
12 angry gamers.
Okay, because there's, so you can, like, get materials from the monster you slay, and there's, like, crafting.
Yeah, you can, like, craft weapons, armor, and then you also get to craft weapons and armor for your pals, which is really fun.
Like, so I can use, like, the bones or armor or what have you of this monster to create a more advanced and cool-looking set of armor.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Your ultimate goal is to be the coolest looking motherfucker in the multiplayer lobby.
Is there a cooking element at all? Because I'm fascinated with anything that's, like, about eating monsters.
There is, but there's also, like, in the town, there's, like, a sweet shop, and there's a cutscene each time where they, like, prepare the sweets. It's really fun.
Does it, like, reflect the monster? Can I bring in parts of a monster I slayed and, like, prepare that into a dish? That's what I'm kind of after.
I think so, because there is a lot of, like... Typically, it's, like, a lot of, like, hides and stuff, but you can get raw meat and,
Nice.
Whatnot from the monsters.
Okay, that's what I'm really about. Okay.
You're going after that video game,
Sorry.
Delicious in Dungeon, huh?
Yeah, that's what I was going to kind of draw it back to. A similar brain chemical shooting off there.
Yeah, I mean, overall, you get the loop of just, like, using the parts of the monsters you kill to propel yourself further. I really enjoy, like, what little I have played of this, because admittedly I haven't played too much of it, but it does seem like something I could really get sucked into, because it does have one of those, like, very addictive gameplay loops that I enjoy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. No, and I do think, and, like, some of the monsters take some, like, getting into, because, like, I think when I played my demo, I was just, like, kind of thrown off by how long the one monster I was after was taking. Of course, I could have just been, like, playing kind of...
No, the monsters are HP sponges. That's my, one complaint with the game.
Okay.
Yeah, they can
sounds
take
like
a
something.
while.
All right. Well, it sounds like if I just have my expectations in order, I could kind of get into this.
And that's still, like I said, it's a lot of fun. It's very simple. Like, you don't have to get super invested, and I think that's a big strength in it.
Yeah, and it's fun for multiplayer too. So yeah, you could pick it up on the Steam Summer Sale.
Oh yeah. Or wait, if it's on, is it on your Steam account?
I have a copy and Will has a copy. So if all three of us wanted to play, then we'd have to have another copy.
But aren't we on the same family plan though? Aren't you father?
Yes, but, like, the family plan works by you pool the total number of copies shared amongst the entire family. So there's a total of 2 copies among the, I think, 4 of us that are in that family now.
So only 2 of us could play at a time.
Exactly.
Okay, all right. Makes sense. No, but yeah, no, I think that sounds cool. I appreciate you bringing it to my because it is something I've always been curious about, but like I don't know, I just needed to talk it out with somebody to really wrap my head around what it was.
It's fun stuff, yeah. I enjoy it.
Yeah, I think you'd like it, Sherman.
All right.
So I guess, Dad, up to you.
Okay. This one feels a little bad. So, I was pretty bored a couple weeks ago, and I thought, you know what? I've never really sat down and sat through and watched a Joel Haver movie.
Yeah, he's gonna come after you. He's gonna comment on the podcast.
Yeah, we'll get to that later. This took an interesting turn on Letterboxd, but so I saw this like notification I got for this Joel Haver film because he's doing his like 12 months 12 feature films thing. He spent like a good 3 months, I think, on this one, so you know he's behind schedule, but he put quite a lot of effort into this one. And what I saw in the notification was a thumbnail for a stop motion film called Hello, My Beautiful Creatures. This ended up being not a very good use of my time. Because it is 2.5 hours long. It's really fucking long. It is a beefy story with a shitload of characters. The voice cast is nearly 20 people, including Airsoft Fatty and Sir Spence, who makes like those Redditor videos. So it's a big it's like a relatively big production while still being, you know, obviously like this independent YouTube film, very no budget at all, basically. And it's bad. Unfortunately, it is not good. Some people seem to have very much connected with it. It is on Letterboxd, so you can see kind of the ratings distribution, and it does skew high. So I think, you know, Joel Haver is very good at kind of making people feel a certain way and implanting a certain emotion in his work, and I think that really does get through to people. But just overall, objectively, for what it is, it's hard to watch, because not only is the story just very not good. I would say it kind of almost leans into pretentiousness.
Joel Haver leading to pretentiousness?
Yeah.
What?
If you follow him on Letterboxd at all, you know exactly just how pretentious he can get.
Freddy Got Fingered is actually good.
Freddy Got Fingered is a 10 out of 10. So there's a glaring issue with this movie, and that's that it is animated at 6 frames per second. This is absolutely, and I believe they've admitted this is just kind of a time-saving feature. Since Joel does need to get out 12 feature films this year, he was not able to spend, you know, like a full production cycle's worth of time on this thing, and it really, really hurt the project, because this lower frame rate, not only is it just not good to look at, there are some people who just physically cannot watch this movie without feeling ill.
Oh boy.
It's really clear to see by just how choppy it is, how much is just kind of missing. That being said, the stop motion I think is still very good and charming. There's some very interesting like character work and different ways that different characters kind of carry themselves, and I think that's pretty cool that they were able to fit a lot of details into this. especially with the low amount of money and time they had to invest in this. But I just can't really help but think that, like, if they had more time, they could have really ironed out the script. They could have done more voice acting takes, because those were really needed in quite a few spots. And they could have animated at a higher frame rate. But I posted a review of this on Letterboxd. It took off a little bit more than I thought it would. It's one of the top 3 reviews on there, but it's I gave it 2 stars out of 5, and just kind of discussed how, pretty much exactly what I said. It's a production that seems like it had a lot of potential, and there's a lot of charm and investment in there, but ultimately Joel's like weird kind of, I want to say like ego project feels a little harsh, but that kind of feels like what this is just like him proving that he can pull this off of 12 feature films in a single year. I feel like that really hurt this, because this really needed a lot more time than it had.
And I don't want to.
And then what happened?
Yeah.
Yeah, I posted the review, and he was the first person to comment on it. Just trying to, I guess, clear up a few things, because I did mention in my review that, like, a lot of this movie, like, because it's 2.5 hours long, it does not feel like it needs to be that long, and I don't even say that as just like, there were parts I didn't like. There were parts that felt like genuinely they were dragging out super long, because there was some like internal goal to make a really long stop motion film. Just for the ability to like say that they did. And Joel in his comment kind of cleared up and said that it's a very personal story that he wanted to tell. So there wasn't any part of it that was filler, which, okay, fine. I guess I could conceivably believe that, but he also mentioned that, or as he put it specifically, that not a single one of the feature films he's making for this project are negatively impacted by the deadline, which I think is complete bullshit. His claim that he knows his capabilities and is therefore, presumably estimating the time that it will take to make these just cannot be true. Because they did they released alongside this film a sort of, just like an aside talking about the production. And they straight up said that they kept on just like adding stuff more and more as they were making it, and it kind of got away from them. So, it's just two completely contradictory statements coming from these two different sources, and yeah, I think he has bit off more than he can chew, and he just doesn't really quite want to admit it yet. I'm sure in the future maybe he'll reflect on this and kind of realize sort of the effect that this actually has on the art that he's making when he puts these arbitrary deadlines up. But just for the time being, that's kind of where things are at.
And what? Sorry, you go ahead, Will.
I was just gonna say, when you showed us a few clips of it, I was kind of baffled that it was supposed to be pretty much fully serious.
There's some comedy in there, but it's for the most part, it is really just trying to be emotionally very straightforward and earnest.
Yeah, and like the scene that was supposed to be, I think, like the big, reveal that's supposed to be like super emotionally like charged. I was just kind of like, okay, this is really funny, but I'm not sure it's supposed to be.
I guess all over the place tonally.
what I kind of couldn't help but side eye a bit, and like, there's no fucking way. Well, if I put my beautiful hello, my beautiful creatures in the description, and he like searches it and comes across this, then, which I wouldn't put it past him to do, honestly.
Hey, Joel Haver.
Hey, Joel. I guess what I was kind of side-eyeing is that he posted, on his, like, side channel, the Talking About Movies, he posted how frustrated he was that Letterboxd moderators constantly weren't letting his films, be on the website because they don't fit the parameters of premiering at a festival or a studio or whatever else. And I side with him there. Sure, I don't think every YouTube video needs to be on Letterboxd. I don't think TV shows need to be on Letterboxd. But, like, sure, if you're making feature-length... I don't know. I guess my point is, he made such a stink about that. Then when one of his works is on Letterboxd, and Dav uses the movie criticism website for movie criticism, he just seems to jump to getting really fucking defensive in a way that... it struck me as, like, just not a good look, I would say.
I mean, he handled it better than I think most YouTubers would, to be perfectly honest. It's not like, he's not being mean or anything in his comment, but, like, yeah, I think he mostly responded to it, I think, because it was specifically gaining traction. Like, it's one of the first reviews you see when you look at the page now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, it does
reel it in, buddy.
It does feel a little bit like you're not interacting with my art correctly, is kind of the tone that I get from it.
Right. And, like, I try to, like, when people have criticisms of, like, my videos, I try to say, hey, thanks for pointing that out. Maybe I'll try and think about it and maybe, like, ask a question as to why they felt that way, instead of, actually, no, it's this, and you just looked at it wrong. That's just how I approach it personally.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, I saw another review that I think made a pretty good point of just, like, I appreciate when people challenge themselves and take on these huge projects. I also appreciate when people know they're not making something good.
And, like, it's good to set goals for yourself. Like, sure, even if the whole 12 features and 12 months things is pretty arbitrary and I think is maybe kind of a fool's errand, but, like, I don't know if you're fully admitting in those blogs that that's a factor in slowing some of them down or a element in them, you kind of can't act like that's not the case.
Yeah, you can't have an expectation that you're going to put out a 10 out of 10 every single time,
Yeah. And I would say, like, the way you said he has ideas that affect people, I totally agree. And the thing is, and this isn't me saying, like, Joel should only make content like this. He should be able to expand his horizons however he wants. But, like, my favorite thing he's ever made was the animation, two guys who are in charge of deciding what happens, I think is what it's called. And it's maybe a minute and a half long. And it makes me emotional to watch, and it's kind of funny. The one with the two aliens with the button that says good stuff, bad stuff, random stuff. And it's a minute and a half long, and I think it grips me more than any of his feature-length stuff ever has, which is just my way of saying I respect him as an artist, and I think he has amazing ideas, but if he's so resistant to hearing, like, what people have to say on the mediums he insists on being a part of, he may not, there's a fear there that he might not grow as an artist.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
Yeah, and I mean, his audience, I think, is maybe not going to help him very much because, like, the ratings distribution on this as is, there's not a single half-star rating. There's a shitload of 5-star ratings. I think people kind of they tend to go very easy on smaller creators, even if it's, like, not helpful. It's like, I respect that he is a filmmaker trying to make, I presume, good films. And so, you know, actual good constructive feedback, like, don't take on such an insane thing that probably fucking, like, eviscerated your mental health for the last 3 months just to make something that people probably don't actually like all that much.
Yeah.
Which, you know, not all art has to be made for people to consume or anything, but it's like, I don't know if I entirely believe him when he says that this is like something that makes him cry every time he watches it and is like something that he honestly believes is truly hitting the original marks that he was setting out to hit. I just don't believe that.
That's amazing if he feels that way, but I also can't help but feel if it were really true, he wouldn't care what a bunch of letterbox reviews say. Like,
yeah,
and
That's
again,
true.
taking it to a place of my much lower like budget and time intensive videos. Like, I'm well aware they're flawed, but I have a lot of fun making them, and I have a lot of fun watching them back, and that's kind of what's in some of my favorite videos I've ever made. Probably will never eclipse 1,000 views, but I'm just really happy with what I put together, and like, I think that's the reward. And like, that's not, I guess, like, you would, if I said that, you'd have a hard time believing it if someone criticized me and my instant reaction was to get like super defensive and passive aggressive.
Yeah. And, you know, it's not even. Oh, go ahead, Will.
I was just gonna make a joke and say, well, Tommy, look outside your window.
Yeah. I'm not even, like, gonna pin all the blame on Joel or anything, because, like, there are like, the score in this is really, really bad. And I just cannot sugarcoat, like, anything about it. Like, it sounds like just kind of like stock sad piano, but like for the entire runtime, which really hurts it really hurts the tone, which is again my biggest issue with it. It is tonally everywhere. Sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's sad, and it just cannot pick a lane ever. So that fucking piano music and I haven't even really mentioned the story of this is just like a bunch of like little toys and figures that live in this guy's room, like this actual human person's room, and they like do shit for him, like they help him get ready in the morning and stuff, and they basically worship him as a god, but he's objectively just this total fucking loser. And that's a very good concept, I think. There's a lot you could do with that. But every time the god character is on screen, it's just like a mini Joel Haver sketch. And it sucks ass. It does not work at all. And you could literally remove him and just make this like a diegetic little clay figures thing, like A Town Called Panic or something. And it would work just fine.
I would say it would work even better.
Honestly, yeah. A Town Called Panic is a great movie, so go watch it. And the shorts as well.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
some good shit. So yeah. Honestly, no shade to Joel Haver. He's fine. He handled this fine. But I worry he's stretching himself thin. And that's all I have to say about that. So back to Tommy.
All right. I'm gonna talk about a game and toast some aspects and roast others. Will and I have been playing it together a good bit, and that is the relaunch of Multiverses. So I loved the beta of this game. I played that back in the day. And as some of you may recall, they said, all right, we're out for a couple years, I think. It's been a super long time. And now they have their promised full launch. They came back with a few new characters like Joker, Banana Guard from Adventure Time, motherfucking Jason Voorhees in the house, and Agent Smith is on the way. He fucking rules. This game has picked up a ton of heat, and I would not say all for bad reason, as I am going to talk about some of the bullshit that has to do with it. I would say, though, I think a lot of people think that they're like Maximilian dude pointing out how slow it is. You're watching it on your iPhone. Yes, it's going to look like shit. I think when you actually pick it up and play, it's pretty much it's would you agree with me, Will, that the speed isn't really a deterrent? Like, it works?
I think I would agree with that.
Yeah. I think the thing is, like, and I don't know if this is a matter of my Wi-Fi connection or anything else, but the beta, as much as I enjoyed it, there were a handful of characters where I had no fucking idea how they worked. Because every character in this game, it's like if in Smash, every character had basically their own win condition. Like, it's less a fighting game and sometimes more like a team strategy game in the skin of a fighting game. And I'm only truly wrapping my head around characters with like the expert tag, like LeBron and who else? Gizmo, I guess. Like in this, like, because the characters have so much shit going on. I think Maximilian, the real one, said the beta could sometimes feel slippery and like a big dust cloud of cartoon hands flying everywhere. And by slowing it down, yes, perhaps it is like a little more watery feeling than Smash Bros. But I know how some of these more complicated characters work. Like, I was always pretty good with Arya. I'm fucking great with Arya now. Because they want to pack these like complex movesets and RNG and win conditions into all these characters. So I think it's almost a little important that the game slows down a bit. Do you have anything to add about that?
No, I would agree, and I also think it's worth mentioning the teleportation in the beta. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
How, like, the Wi-Fi was so bad that, like, your character would literally be, like, standing on the stage, and then in the next frame they would be, like, up in the right-hand corner.
Yeah.
For no real reason. I guess just because of lag, but, like, it was not good online.
No, yeah. And it feels fine to play. In fact, I would dare call it fun. That's why I am toasting it, because it is a good platform fighter. I think that everyone was good. Like, I think I sent you the leaked image before Jason got revealed of his design in this game, and he's like built like Spider-Verse Kingpin with the gigantic fucking shoulders. They do a really good job of like, articulating the more conventionally live action characters in a common cartoony art style. So Jason is this like brick shithouse. He looks so fucking cool, and he's fucking fun to play as well. He's got his up smash is folding the bed in half, like in Freddy vs. Jason. God, he fucking rocks.
Yeah, Jason, I would say, is my favorite character to play as well.
He's so much fun. There are some points that I think could be ironed out. I think air juggling is maybe kind of a problem. I don't know if the people I play with just don't know how to figure it out, but there are so many people that I just feel bad. If I'm playing as Marvin or Jason or characters with any kind of juggle, I will just toss them in the air like a fucking pizza dough for like minutes on end. And there's either they have to be able to just dodge out of the way in the air, right?
A lot of times it just, like, doesn't quite work out, I think, because of, like, hurtbox, or a lot of the hitboxes are really janky. Like, Jason's, like, 1-2-3 combo, the slash of his machete doesn't have, like, a hitbox on the end.
Yeah. So there's definitely points that need to be ironed out. So I haven't gotten to play as him yet. How's Joker? Because I know you unlocked him.
Yeah, Joker's fun, but like he does, I mean, kind of like every character in Multiverses, he does have his bullshit. And also, unless you're like basically at the very top of the stage, it's borderline possible to kill with him. Yeah. I think I saw one video on the Multiverses Reddit where a Garnet was at like upwards of 250%, and Joker like couldn't do anything. And I think that's a little crazy.
Yeah, because it's really, really betting on you doing the team, doing a 2v2. And I think what that means is if you're playing as Joker, it's counting on you having someone to fill in that gap that can like land a killing blow. Because some of the characters are fucking sturdy and some of them are like wusses. So you like almost can't 1v1 because you need a partner to do what you can't.
Yeah, a lot of, especially in 1v1, which honestly I prefer 1v1. I don't like it when it's like 15 people on the stage and you're not quite sure who you are. But it, like, if you're Jason against pretty much any character, you can't win unless you get a read. And in a game where, like, certain characters have moves that are really, really good for spacing that, like, come out frame one, it's borderline impossible to get in. Because it's just the other moves have the same range as Jason's moves, except they're way faster. And I think that's definitely... There's absolutely a balancing problem, is what I'm trying to say.
It's not a graceful, even after so long of development, and they've cooked with some of the characters. Gosh, and I guess what's fun and disappointing to hear is that I think the rumor is there's like still a lot of, like, a handful of characters in the can ready to go. And I almost feel like you had all this time and I would have preferred you have a few characters almost ready and everything be balanced than have like so many characters ahead. Even though there's a lot of logistics there, they probably had to be financially viable, you know.
Yeah. Well, and that's another thing. The monetization in this game is absolutely horrid.
So that's what I wanted to. So there's a little like event. So the good news is if you played the beta, you get some rewards. It's maybe not as clear as I would like it to be. There was something like, oh, it's getting transferred into this currency. And I'm a little like, what the fuck? What's nice is you basically get Jason right when you turn on the game if you played the beta, which is a nice little draw. And you get his battle pass, so some associated items in there. Here's where I felt really ripped off, there was an event up top where it's like, the game's story campaign is Rift mode, where it just takes you through different missions and attaches a loose narrative. And it's like, if you gain points in Rift mode, you can unlock Agent Smith for free and a little bit early. And he's not in the game yet, but it has a set date where if you get the points by this end of July or so, you'll have Agent Smith, you won't have to fuck with the currency, and you'll get him a little early. Fucking sweet. I love Agent Smith. What am I going to do? Not unlock Agent Smith? But you only get points toward unlocking him by playing different rifts, different missions, which open up as like the days go on, like in real time. So there's entire missions that I just have to sit on my ass and wait for, which that's one thing. But like, you're in my position. I want Agent Smith early. I don't want to have to spend money on Agent Smith. I would happily just grind for him. That's how the game works. You can unlock a character by playing the game. But I am traveling all of July. I'm going to different states and countries. I'm not taking my PS5 with me. So is it just like, fuck? And what then, if you're in that situation, in a perfect world, it would be, okay, you just have to play a lot now. All right, fair. But those rifts are locked off. So just like, what? Fuck me for going on vacation? I have to pay for Agent Smith? Fuck that.
And,
is there no cross-platform progress? Like you couldn't get it on the Steam Deck and like connect to your account?
I think I could, right, Will?
I think so.
I could, but that would also. I'm going to Old San Juan. I'm not going to be playing multiverses the whole time, honestly.
I guess, yeah, I mean, they weren't really considering whether or not people who can afford month-long vacations can afford their microtransactions.
That's actually, yeah, true. That's on me.
I do also want to say that, like, there's a lot of, speaking of, the microtransactions in this game are, like, arguably, I think, worse than another free-to-play like Fortnite, because there are skins in multiverses, and the deal with the skins are just, they're this character with a Jason mask. That's it. Exact same costume, exact same voice lines, they just have Jason's hockey mask. That's such a good idea to have, like, oh yeah, when you complete a rift, you get the, this character's skin with Jason's hockey mask. That's perfect. Because these skins are, like, bare fucking bones because they are just the character model with Jason's hockey mask. You have to pay. There is no natural way, unless you pay, to get one of those skins. And in the greater scheme of things, there's not really a lot of way to, like, get skins in the first place. Like, they did another one with the Joker where it's, like, characters in a shirt that has the Joker on it. Again, it's cool, because it's the same character model, they just, like, have a shirt on over them with the Joker in on it. That's, like, such an easy, like, just have this one on us. But it costs as much as the, like, cake skin for Jake that has completely different line. And, like, that is incredibly bonkers to me.
Worst is that some of the missions are like, or at least some of the point gems or points you get for missions are locked behind playing as, like, oh, to get full points on this mission, you have to be a Joker shirt character. So they're really incentivizing spending as their want. Like, I'm pointing out what they want to do, but it is just like, there should always be a way to be able to just play the fucking game, even if it's for a, like, Multiverse's beta. You could grind for as long as you need to for a character the second they were available, or pay money. I could grind. I'm a teacher. I'm cheap. I played for a few hours and unlocked fucking Gizmo from Gremlins. Now there's, like, all these fucking hoops to jump through where I have to either buy the battle pass or not go on vacation or wait, like, multiple weeks for full access to Agent Smith. And it's super frustrating that way.
A lot of the weekly missions that are, like, there was one that got changed because everyone was like, this is bullshit, and then they did it again. There was, like, a 11-day login thing where each day you log in, you get a reward, and it culminates in Superman's beach outfit, where he's, like, got a fanny pack and, like, a hat. That's fine, but the thing is, they made it last for exactly 11 days. So unless you played that event, if you logged in every day, from when the game came out to the end, you weren't getting that. And they changed that to, like, make it a bit more lenient. But then just recently they did, like, a Shark Week thing where, again, it's like a very basic skin. It's just characters with, like, a shark hat on. And it's 7 days. And if you miss a single day, you aren't able to get that ultimate reward. And that's just, like, it's predatory, basically, you know?
Oh, yeah. Which pretty much all free-to-play is going to be, but that's not an excuse. And people aren't quiet about how unhappy they are with it. Like, it's basically getting lambasted and set on fire, which is a shame, because I think this is, like, some of the most, like, neat and faithful and fun interpretations of these characters. Like, there's leaked audio files that down the line we're supposed to get Powerpuff Girls with some fun dialogue, the Wicked Witch of the West, and Beetlejuice. and all this fun shit. And I love how the artists render these characters and write them. But, with how fucking mad people are about this, and for good reason, I kind of have my doubts it's even gonna, live that long.
No, this game is like one Persona 5 collab away from shutting down.
Yeah, I have a bad feeling that the reason the game shut down first was because of the complaints, and they were just like, okay, let's shut it down for a bit. But I don't think this game is gonna last beyond a year, which is a shame because it's fun to play, but
I think you're
Oh, go ahead.
I want to point out. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, I want to point. It's my understanding that it was kind of like the beta. It still has a lot of issues. There's some technical kinks. And at the same time, if the game is running, Warner wants them to add characters. You can't just stop at 10 fighters and expect people to still put money into it. So it's either shut down or and they couldn't, balance that. They got to Marvin the Martian, and they were like, fuck, we're overwhelmed. Let's just, it was a tough place to be in. But to see that they kind of didn't seem to learn much, that the game is still kind of a mess technically, and we still have, a ton of characters to come out, I just feel like priorities were all over the fucking place. And you can blame that on management and Warner saying, have Beetlejuice ready for the new Beetlejuice movie so we can cross-promote. 100%, absolutely. But the game doesn't exist in a vacuum, and that all has to be acknowledged, and it makes it all kind of suffer.
Yeah, completely agree.
Yeah. Well, slightly sad. I hope we get a fun Agent Smith trailer before everybody loses their jobs, and he says things like, Mr. Anderson is not in this game. Will, back to you for the final rotation before our newsreel.
We've got a pretty heavy newsreel, so I'll try to keep it quick. Especially because technically I've already toasted this in a way, but not quite. But I am toasting another adaptation of At the Mountains of Madness, this time by Go Tanabe. He's a manga artist who did find a lot of fame doing Lovecraft stuff. And I'd seen this book around, and I'd really, had wanted to read it, and I finally got to, and it's just as good as I hoped. At the Mountains of Madness is a very, relatively simple story. Bunch of guys go to Antarctica, find an ancient city, realize that humanity is nothing but the leftover bits of servants of an alien race, and all that jazz. At the Mountains of Madness is unique is because it describes 3 separate Lovecraft, basically, creatures. Actually, maybe closer to 5. And, describes them in great detail that show up in other stories. So, arguably, even more than Call of Cthulhu, At the Mountains of Madness is the quintessential Lovecraft story. You have stuff like the Elder Things and the Shoggoths. And where this book really shines is, it's a straightforward adaptation, doesn't really add much, but the art is absolutely incredible. Now, the big, hard thing to do with cosmic horror is that, I went to the H.P. Lovecraft Historical Society, and I like this quote that the guy said, that in Lovecraft stories, you're not seeing the creature. You're not even seeing a part of the creature. You are seeing part of the creature's shadow. And that is the fear, that knowing that this infinitesimal thing we see is greater than anything we can imagine, and it's also only a small part of, these eldritch beings. So the monsters often contradict themselves. They don't make sense. They have, impossible biology and stuff. So it's hard, how do you draw the impossible? Well, what Go Tanabe does is he draws all the monsters, but he draws them in a really cool way that no matter how much you look at them, you can't quite make out the whole of them, which I think is really cool. So, like, a big creature in these stories are the Elder Things. In the story, they're described as, like, aquatic, but also land-based, and they can also fly, and they have, like, starfish heads with eyes on the end, and then they also have, like, ray guns. That's fucking, like, how do you make something like that and make it seem like it is a physical thing? But Go Tanabe blends in the monsters and the backgrounds kind of to complement each other, in that you know that you're looking at something, and this something has detail, but you can't really make out what the something is. And I think that's, like, a fantastic way to do Eldritch Horror. So it's cool seeing, like, you know, they discover an Elder Thing, and it's, like, laying down in some snow. You can see the whole Elder Thing. You can see vaguely what it looks like, but when you look closer, you're like, okay, what is that on its body? I can tell it is a body, but why does it look like that? Oh, is this supposed to be open, or are they damaged? What is this part of the background, or is this another part of their body? I don't really think that's ever been done before in specific, like, Lovecraft adaptations. Typically, they'll just, like, you know, pretty well, they'll either, like, hide the monster behind some mist, or they'll do, like, a great adaptation of, like, this is what it looks like. But the fact that it is a manga, and that it's in black and white, and that you do have kind of the liberty to, you know, blend in the forefront with the background, and because this is a place where it always snows, you know, snow is constantly blowing around and vision is limited, it's like, it really feels like you're in this story too. Not in the sense of that, oh no, big, like, scary squid thing with ray gun is going to kill me, but in the fact that you, in addition to these, you know, 1900s researchers, are like, what the fuck is that? Is that, like, you can't quite figure it out, but in a good way. I don't know if any of that made sense.
The way, just from what I don't know if I'm way off base or stating the obvious maybe, but just from what you're describing, it sounds like there's a lot of them, Junji Ito in the DNA here.
Say so. Although I would argue that the artwork in this book is even less defined. Well, I don't say this as a negative, but it's less defined than Junji Ito's work. Like, when you see a monster, that monster is incredibly detailed. Like, you know, you can see every single, like, wrinkle on it. You're supposed to know exactly what it looks like. But for here, you're only kind of supposed to get the idea. You're not supposed to fully comprehend what you're looking at. Which Junji Ito does too. And again, you know, Junji Ito is my favorite mangaka. I'm not saying this to shit on him. Fucking would die for that man.
Yeah.
But, like, that's what I would say the difference is that Junji Ito finds scares in, you know, hyper detail, whereas Tanabe finds scares in the melding of details into each other.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah, big recommendation because it's, you know, it's an easy read, it's a manga, and it's just a really good story.
It does sound pretty cool. You got that from the Lovecraft Society, or?
I didn't. I got it from Barnes & Noble. Last time I was at the Lovecraft Society, they didn't have anything like it, but maybe I might just, like, bring it and be like, hey, you guys heard of this book?
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Then they'll get mad at you.
Yeah, well, it is the Mountains of Madness, so...
Yeah, true. Drives them mad.
But anyways, that is all I've got to... Do either of you want to add anything?
It sounds cool to me, and I do really love the anime takes on... manga-inspired takes on monsters to that effect, kind of like Junji Ito we mentioned a moment ago. Even though you astutely outlined the differences, I do feel there's some similar draw there. So, I mean, when I drop by later this month, maybe you can let me flip through it a bit.
Absolutely. Yeah, the art is like very much worth looking at. Anyways, I will pass it to Jav.
Okay, I will also keep this one relatively brief. I would like to toast a movie that I watched on a whim last night called The Good, the Bad, the Weird. This is a Western-inspired Korean film. Specifically, as you could probably tell from the title, it's heavily inspired by The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. It's directed by Kim Ji-woon, who also made I Saw the Devil. It's probably what he's best known for. And it stars maybe my favorite Korean actor, Sung Kang-ho, who was also in Parasite, Memories of Murder, and Snowpiercer. There's also a very cool character called the Bear, which is just a huge angry dude with a hammer. And he is played by Don Lee from Train to Busan and Eternals. So he's also fantastic. The movie overall carries this sort of both very action-adventure-y and also very funny tone. There's plenty of humor all over the place, but there's also just a ton of cool action. Specifically from both the good and the bad. They are both just, like, extremely badass characters. The Weird, who is played by Sung Kang-ho, definitely provides some of his own badassery, but for the most part, he's like the comic relief. And as like a Western, this isn't like an American Western thing, it's 1930s Manchuria, but still very much presents itself almost as though it were an American Western thing. There's so many of the same tropes in there. And the core plot is basically that the three main characters and their relative factions and all that are fighting over this treasure map, which they think leads to like Qing Dynasty treasure. So they're trying to get rich. And chaos ensues. It's really just non-stop action and hilarity from start to finish. I had a very good time with it. I did want to mention Lee Sung-min, who is the main character in A Bloody Lucky Day, is also in this.
Oh.
Very minor character. I think he just plays like a chef, but yeah, he appears in it.
That's super cool.
Happy that my my Bloody Lucky Day people are gotten out there. Shouldn't say my Bloody Lucky Day people because I was only in the dub, but I was Bozo because I did the dub.
Yeah. That's super. Yeah. Do you know off the top of your head who directed it?
The movie?
Yes.
Kim Ji-woon, who did I Saw the Devil.
Oh, okay. All right. That's pretty cool. Is it, and you know, you mentioned that it takes some like Western influences. I kind of peeked at the synopsis on Letterboxd. Is it like actually based on any point in history, or is it more kind of fantasy-ish?
It's, I mean, the story itself and the characters are all fictional, but like the time period is Manchuria right before World War II, so it's like Japanese occupied territory of China.
Okay.
Right before shit hits the fan.
I like to have context for that kind of thing, just to learn a little more. Every day's a school day.
Yeah, so you don't really need to have like much knowledge about like Korean history or anything. It's just it is very much presented as like an American Western, but there's like motorcycles and stuff too.
Ah, hell yeah.
It's really fucking sick. It's just a great time. I'll probably have to pick it for movie night one of these nights.
I expect nothing less.
So yeah. Anything else you wanted to add, either of you?
Sounds like a ton of fun. I think you should definitely pick it for movie night.
For sure. All right, then I will pass it back to Tommy.
Alrighty. To close us off before news, earlier I talked about Furiosa and how it jumped into my top favorite movies ever. And it just so happens that's not the only movie that starts with the letter F that I watched over the last couple months that leaped into my top 10. And I want to talk about Face Off, which is amazing. It is insane this movie got made. It is director John Woo of, I think he directed Hard Boiled, which Dav showed us once, and many, many other classic action films. Face Off is the infamously absurd but genius premise in which John Travolta is a cop obsessed with tracking down Nicolas Cage, who is this illustrious terrorist and psychotic. Castor Troy is his name. And I remember being like, well, I've been meaning to watch this, and I've also been meaning to take a little break from getting high. So I'm just gonna watch this, just like, sit through, let that tolerance kind of beat down. Then I hit play on this movie, and within, I'd say, the first 5 minutes, Nicolas Cage is disguised in pastor robes and a church choir and whipping his hair back and forth and crumping and groping the choir women in front of him. And that's when I was like, pause, and I grabbed my edible, and I had the time of my goddamn life.
You'd really like Vampire's Kiss.
Yeah, don't. That's on the list one of these days. As the premise goes, eventually Travolta catches Cage, and they want to infiltrate his criminal syndicate and get information on a bomb he's planted. So they're like, we've introduced technology that will peel your face off, wink, wink, and you can trade, and you two can basically trade faces. So your height difference is negligible enough that if we put his face on your body, people won't be able to tell the difference, which is a nonsense premise, but long of the short of it is they switch bodies because Travolta takes Nicolas Cage's face, and Cage wakes up in his containment unit and finds Travolta's detached face and puts it on. So it opens with Travolta as a really hammy, self-serious cop and Cage as an over-the-top villain, and then they trade. So it's Cage doing an over-the-top take on a self-serious, bombastic Travolta performance, and Travolta doing a really, boisterous take on Cage's criminal performance. So it's multiplied, 8 times, and it is some of the best, just stuff I've ever seen put in a movie. And I think that there's, a long list of actors that were almost the two in this. Nick Cage and John Travolta is the most random fucking combination. It only works with them. Because, there's scenes where Nicolas Cage, he's in the body of the criminal character, but he's the cop, and he just looks in the mirror and gets this demented smile on his face as if he just hates the sight of himself. And an amazing bit where Travolta, who has the mind of the criminal but the body of the cop, gets to go on TV and say, "Well, Castor, ball's in our court." And it, made me lose my goddamn mind. It is ridiculous. It's demented. It's some of the best shit in the world. I guess I hate when people say, "Oh, it's so bad, it's good." Because I just think if you're enjoying something, you're enjoying something. You can acknowledge that it's not one thing, it's another thing. And I think, there's people that are I'm speechless about how bad this is. This is one of the stupidest things I've ever seen. And I don't disagree, but I think it excels in fight scenes and how it carries itself so fucking thoroughly that it is bottomlessly entertaining.
I can't believe it's taken me this long to see it. I know you said you'd pick it for movie night one night, and that's the
One of these
reason why I haven't so far. But I'm very much looking forward to it.
It is so fucking good. And what I kind of also think that it's written with an approach that the situations the characters are put in are kind of comedic. And I hate explaining it that way because I don't want to seem like I'm like, oh, it's so corny that it's like a comedy. It's fun. What I mean is there's points where the perverted Castor Troy criminal is in John Travolta's body and he drops by his home, and the situation he's in is that he's with the cop's daughter. And it's like, oh, that's like a heightening of the premise that a comedy would take, but they're applying it to an action drama. And I think it can be funny and take itself seriously at the same time. I think that's kind of the brilliance of it. The same with Nicolas Cage, when he has the mind of the cop, is in this high intensity prison and he has to learn how to carry himself like top dog the way Castor Troy would. That's like honestly a fucking hilarious premise, but if you just take it to that point, there's ways to kind of swim in both pools without outright being an action comedy. It takes itself seriously, but it's raising its stakes and heightening itself the way a comedy would, if that makes sense.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
I do like the whole concept of them kind of performing as like the other actor.
100%. And people are talking about making a sequel or like trying it again. They want to do a woman face-off. I think it only works because Cage and Travolta take themselves entirely seriously. And if it's Barry Keoghan and Glenn Powell, who are both great actors, but if they approach this intentionally with, I'm going to be goofy like the other guy and copy the other guy, I don't think it takes off. Because there's like no irony in these performances, and that's what makes them like rubber band around to be fucking brilliant, I feel. All right. We ready for news?
Let's do it.
I'm ready.
All right. Lots of Nintendo-related updates. So the first thing they did was acknowledge that a successor to the Switch would be on its way. And it's been discussed. We've kind of known for a while, but it's still nice to have that confirmation. But we still had a Nintendo Direct with no mention of it, and still games ostensibly coming into next year. So reliable Bessie, the Nintendo Switch, still has to hold out for maybe a bit longer than it should.
Yeah. I think it's a bit overdue for the Switch to, take its final rest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, these we need the performance upgrade. I don't think it needs to be a big jump graphically because Switch games, I think, look pretty great.
Yeah.
I mean, Metroid Prime 4 is going to be running on the base Switch. That's pretty insane. So, really, it's just a performance thing for me.
What's the over-under that Metroid Prime 4 is like a Breath of the Wild situation where it starts on the Switch, but it kind of overlaps with the next console and maybe is more well-known for running better on that one?
I have no doubt.
100%, because I don't think the next Switch is going to come out, like, very late next year. I think it's probably going to be spring or summer like the original Switch was.
I think so, because there's usually a September Direct, is that it?
Yeah, there's usually something in fall, and I mean, the fact that they went out of their way to say that they're not talking about it in this Direct makes me think it's the last one where that's applicable.
Yeah. So I'm guessing, Fall Direct will get, spring release date for Prime 4 and the new console, and it'll be for both, probably.
Yeah,
Probably, yeah.
I think so.
I can imagine, a March release date. That seems like a good, January, right after Christmas, seems a little, at that point, just do Christmas, but it might not be ready. I could see, into March. I feel like the original Switch was, summer release.
It was March, and it was officially shown like 6 months before, so that would line up.
All right, okay. Well, hedge your bets there. We're getting a new Mario and Luigi that I think looks really stellar. Brothership.
Yeah, I
crazy.
haven't played any of the Mario and Luigi games, but I am very much excited for this one.
Yeah, it's not a remake like the other two RPGs that we just got. It's just a full-on new entry.
Which is because I thought Mario and Luigi the series was just like cooked with that studio shutting down. I think I heard that some of the same people worked on this one, like they just got picked up, so that's kind of good news, I think.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And I feel, oh yeah, we got Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, which kind of nice that there's a Zelda game, even if I think this one looks a little, looks a little like, I'll probably rent it, but it looks a little skippable next to like a Tears of the Kingdom or what have you.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I played the other, Zelda, I guess it would be like the toy games?
Yeah,
like,
Link to the,
Link's Awakening.
Link's Awakening, thank you. Will?
That was the one.
All right.
Yeah. And I still need to play that one, but I mean, I kind of like the art style. I just my experience with 2D Zelda is like Link Between Worlds, and that one was really great. I think this is pretty much the same map and everything, so I'm very interested to see kind of how the gameplay changes the way you interact with the map and stuff. So I'm very excited for this.
Now you can fight people with tables.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh. You can make the bench.
I'm the benchman.
Donkey Kong Country Returns is getting an HD re-release, which was like this weird, like, the people that have been praying for DK for like every direct for years weren't really sure how to take that, but I think it's like ultimately a positive. Like, they're probably teeing that up for a bigger release on the next console. I hope they wouldn't be doing it if they were just ignoring it, so take what we can get.
Getting more than F-Zero or Star Fox fans are getting.
Yeah. I'd love for either of those to come back. Was there anything else huge in the Direct? I think that those were like the big... Oh, wait, no time.
MVC 2.
Yeah, no shit. Silly me. It, like... I can't describe that. It felt like every fighting game content creator got to hold hands under a rainbow for the first time, because Marvel vs. Capcom 2 re-release was the thing we just all fucking needed.
Yeah, God bless mashed potato sack of rye. No, I'm just kidding. No, I think it's arguably like the most important thing in the Direct for me, because I fucking love the Marvel vs. Capcom series, and also I lost my train of thought. Marvel 2 in particular has been locked in arcades for so long that it's like insane that we're finally getting a release.
It's just one of the best games there is, I would say, for my money.
Yeah, big agree.
So I guess those were the big ones from Nintendo Direct, unless...
Well, we also finally got gameplay of Metroid Prime 4, and there's the new Super Mario Party, which is interesting that they're continuing that.
Oh yeah, that's right. And it seems like I kind of feel a little like Super Mario Party had to have been like a rushed out release. And I feel like this probably resembles what they wanted to do, because this seems like more of a like complete package in the concepts they're going for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, also we got official confirmation that Dragon Quest 1 and 2 are also getting the HD 2D remake treatment.
Right.
Yes.
I have to give those a look. I like the HD 2D look
Yeah.
those games have.
I could see it getting old, but like, you know, I feel like, you know, people just need to kind of stylize it a little bit more than what they're doing, but I don't really hate it right now, you know. I'm not sick of it or anything yet. But it looks super great. That's like a day one buy. I'm very excited for that. And yeah, I guess other than that, we got the Miles Edgeworth games officially. The one that was locked in Japan is finally free.
Right. Yeah, they kind of are picking those off because I hope it would be nice if it led to a new release because they did 8 Great Ace Attorney Chronicles that were locked overseas for a long time too. So I hope that's culminating towards something neat.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. I'm kind of surprised that the Capcom announcement wasn't like at the Summer Games Fest show, which was comparatively very weak.
Well, I would see Summer Games Fest, and we can segue into that. Capcom had the Street Fighter 6 DLC 2, and it's kind of the most insane season pass they've ever had.
Oh yeah,
so I'm not
100%.
sure. So I'm actually not, because like there's season 1, Rashid, Aki, Akuma, Ed. Okay, then you come out of the gate swinging with M. Bison is back and cooler than fucking ever, and Mai and Terry, and also Elena, but you know.
Yeah, I'm kind of shocked that Elena is the last one. Does anyone really like Elena?
See, I would maybe say there's someone going to bat for her, but it feels glaringly like it should have been Makoto. She's the one everybody misses.
Oh yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah. So Bison is out and playable as we record this, and he's cool as shit.
Yeah, rides in on a fucking Rao horse from Fist of the North Star.
Cool shit.
Fucking love M. Bison.
To what Dav was saying, there was kind of like a lot of like little announcements at Summer Games Fest, but no other like huge showstoppers. Just a few games I'm looking forward to.
Killer Bean.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Killer Bean.
And they soft launched the Alan Wake 2 DLC, which I played through, and I didn't really quite want to talk about it here, but it was good.
Yeah. There's one game people were kind of making a fuss about that I think looks pretty cool, called Tenjutsu. I think it's by it's a pretty popular indie studio. It's on the tip of my tongue what else they made, but I feel like I'm gonna say the wrong thing. But it's like a martial arts roguelike, and people were mad that it's like super pixelated because the cinematic was fully animated. But I think for what it is, it looks fucking cool. But I like pretty much anything with martial arts.
Is that the one with the Makima looking lady?
Yeah. Slitterhead got revealed, and I think that looks fucking cool. It's like an action game where you have to possess people and animals as I think vaguely like a yokai kind of thing. Oh, and there was what was it, Skate 4 that we got confirmation on?
Yeah, I mean the official title is Skate period because it's kind of a reboot, but yeah, it's nice. Skate 4. That's where we got the Tim Robinson commercial.
Could you imagine my wife setting up 200 chips to eat? That kind of carries us to sadder game news that Jeff Keighley is too much of a coward to acknowledge. That Xbox shut down multiple studios, I believe, including one Dav particularly, I'm sure is want to eulogize.
They shut down Tango Gameworks, and I think they shut down one of the Arcane studios. But yeah, I mean Tango Gameworks, that's such a massive loss because that's disbandment of the team that made Hi-Fi Rush after it got so much success last year. I mean, it won a game award.
Sold like crazy, from my understanding.
It didn't like blow people out of the water with the sales, but it was pretty, like, for what it was, being like this soft launch game that just kind of appeared in one of their showcases. It was like very big, and like pretty much everybody who played the game actually very much enjoyed it. And it like came to PlayStation very recently, so it was like starting to find a bigger audience, and then the studio got shut down. So that's the end of that, I guess.
And when people are pressed for a reason for that, all they can seem to do is point fingers. No one really has a straight answer besides it was their idea, it was them.
Yeah, it's fucked. AAA gaming is fucked right now. Xbox and PlayStation are fucked. Nintendo's the only one who's doing anything even close to right, and that's a really scary thing to say out loud.
No kidding. So that's... Do we have anything else in games? Because then there's like a few things for like movies and shows.
There was the Xbox showcase, but I don't think any of us are like profoundly interested in that.
There was like that new Doom.
I am very excited for that, but I can't really think of anything else that was announced that I'm looking forward to.
They showed gameplay for both Perfect Dark and Metal Gear Solid Delta.
Right.
But, I think reactions have been mixed to both of those, because they both are kind of just going for more realistic than artistically driven.
Is Metal Gear Delta the same Metal Gear remake, repackaged thing we've been talking about for like a while?
Well, that's like the compilation, isn't it?
Oh, I think, yeah, I think you're right.
Delta is the 3 remake.
Okay.
I don't know, but I don't want to talk about Xbox too much. They fucked things up. Sony had theirs too, their State of Play. They showed Astrobot.
Astrobot looks fucking sick, honestly. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, there was not a lot in that showcase that I was very interested in, but Astrobot and the new Monster Hunter were both kind of the highlights of that show.
Dan Reichert, I was listening to his podcast. He said he got to play Astrobot at Games Fest, and he said basically that like platformers are back, and I'm really excited about that. So I feel like we haven't had like a mascot platformer in a long time. That really has me just amped.
I'm excited for that. I'm surprised it was in the same showcase as fucking Concord. That just amazingly generic live service hero shooter that is definitely not going to last a year.
Everyone wants their fucking Overwatch, when even Overwatch seems to be on its own way out.
God, even Valve, it came out that, and this is I guess this ties into the video game news, but there were leaks from Valve that they are working on a new hero shooter, and it's not Team Fortress. It's just like some generic looking thing that's trying to be more like Overwatch. It's such a huge fumble when you own Team Fortress 2 to make a hero shooter and try to start from the ground up. That is insane.
Yeah, especially because Team Fortress 2 is like consistently in the public sphere.
Oh yeah. And when you have like, Valve is known for attaching that irreverent tone to its games, now it's going to have those fucking like corny knockoff Overwatch characters that these games always do. That's really disappointing.
Sucks ass. They could be working on literally anything else, and that's what they choose to spend their time on. They make like one game every 5 years. Jesus Christ.
So let's see. Cannes Palme de Cannes Film Festival occurred, and I think the biggest headline to glean from that was that Megalopolis premiered there. And it has this wild fucking trailer. It looks pretty fucking cool. Francis Ford Coppola's like multiple decade passion project that he sold his wine vineyard to fund because it was too fucking wild. And reviews rolled out and people fucking hate it.
Well, didn't they also say that he was like consistently just on that Zaza the whole time?
Apparently, they allege that he was high all the time, that he was touching people inappropriately, and I don't doubt that because he's a batty old man. Apparently, there's it's kind of split. There's a few people walking out like, no, I think he's got something with this one, and a few people who are like, oh fuck, dude, I don't know. Apparently, there's a point in the film where Adam Driver's character addresses a person, a human outside the fourth wall, who is assigned to speak in the auditorium to Adam Driver's character.
Oh, Jesus, that poor AMC employee.
Yeah.
What happened to just, like, sending a little skeleton across the ceiling to pop out at people?
I mean, I'm all for a big swing. I'll check it out. Lionsgate's, because, like, apparently there's a ton of people, like, every studio, he made it, and he's like, every studio's like, no, we don't want this. And Lionsgate, like, is like, we'll release it, but you're marketing it. We don't want any part of this. And I'm like, and you know, obviously trailers are meant to market and get you excited. The trailer goes hard as fuck. Like, American monuments coming to life in a parallel to ancient Rome. I'm like all over it, and I'm all for it if it's like weird and cool. I just don't. I guess I gotta temper my expectations. I don't know if it's the masterpiece that I briefly thought it was gonna be. It might just be a bit wild. I don't know.
I think we just have to experience it the same way it was made, minus the sexual harassment.
Yeah. Guess we'll see. Let's see. Yeah, studios had their upfronts. A lot of trailers rolled out. I think that was the big one. The Annecy Film Festival occurred, which is a big animation film festival. Netflix had a big panel with a lot of, like, small glimpses and trailers. We're getting a Tomb Raider series with Haley Atwell as Lara Croft. I like that they went the extra mile to cast the hottest British person alive as Lara Croft. Just a voice. They didn't have to, but they did it. And a Terminator anime as well, which I'm all for. That sounds fucking cool.
Does sound pretty cool.
Yeah, I agreed on that.
Sorry, well, what?
Oh, I just said I agreed.
Wallace and Gromit are getting a feature-length new film with Feathers McGraw returning. Few smaller films. Skydance is getting their animated film out, which only matters to me because Brad Bird is trying to do his big passion project with them, and I hope that sees the light of day before Pixar orbits him into Incredibles 3 or fucking whatever, but I don't know. It's called Spellbound. It's got Rachel Ziegler and Nicole Kidman, so kind of a mother off that way. I think that's all the big ones there. Any thoughts on any of those that I just vomited out?
Not really.
Yeah.
Oh, and The Day the Earth Blew Up, the Looney Tunes movie, premiered at Annecy, and word is it fucking rules. And I think we got like one clip out there. I think a trailer. I think someone leaked like a German trailer for it. So I bet an American English trailer is supposed to be kind of soon. Maybe with it a release date. I could see that being a fun, like, weird September, October release. I hope we get to see it pretty soon. Okay. This one's big for you both. A Yakuza series is coming to Amazon.
Yakuza.
And
That's all I gotta say.
It's called, you know what it's called?
What's it called?
Like a Dragon Yakuza. So now we've got Yakuza, we've got Like a Dragon, we've got Yakuza Like a Dragon, and we've got Like a Dragon Yakuza.
Do we have any tea leaves on if this sounds good, or you just kind of? I guess we don't know much about it, or we just kind of waiting it out.
I think the casting for Kiryu is better than the movie they did way back in the day.
Yeah, I agree on
Because
that.
he's like very tall and well built, but I don't know if they go batshit enough with it, it could be very good. The Yakuza games already try very very hard to achieve like a lot of realism with their graphics engine. So it's not like, you're missing a ton of like art or something. It's just like the feel, the vibes of it are kind of hard to capture, but if they can pull it off, I think it'll be great.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And I mean, considering track record with Fallout being so good, I know it's not necessarily same people working on it, but yeah, I'd be pretty optimistic with that in mind. Last big piece. Sony has bought the Alamo Drafthouse line of theaters, which Dav and I have been like regularing for the past year or so. So it was a bit of a bit of a shock because I think like the trust that prevented this practice just expired. So to see Sony lunge at a purchase like this is maybe a little concerning. The good news is the Texas theaters that just went bankrupt got to reopen, so a lot of people getting their jobs back. And I'm not seeing like immediate changes. Of course, I could be eating my words any month now. Um, and presumably, the fear is like, oh no, they'll only do Sony movies, but they have to stay open. I'm sure they'll still do cool stuff. And I get the little Alamo surveys, and I try to be really loud about how I love that you do indie movies that are new and like older releases. Please keep those. What are you feeling on that, Dav?
Um, I think, yeah, I think there's absolutely no way in hell they would exclusively play their own films at these theaters. That's just not going to happen. But I do think that there are like worst case scenarios of just like this becomes like literally any other theater chain, but you get to order food there. No more fun pre-shows, no more like retro plays of old movies unless we pair up with one of those like Fathom Events things, which I fucking hate. But I think it's nice to be a little hopeful that best case scenario we get a lot more locations open across the country, and they continue to let it have its own like personality. So I guess we'll see what happens. I'm hesitant to believe that everything is going to be great under them, but I'm hopeful. Hopefully they can figure things out with like something was going on with like the Littleton theater or something.
Apparently a bunch of managers just got shit canned and a lot of showings had to be canceled, so that's concerning.
Yeah, hopefully they can figure this shit out and make things better. I've heard that like the movie club thing that we're a part of used to be a lot better than it is now.
Yeah.
And there used to be like better value food and stuff, so hopefully they can start shifting back to that because yes, prices and the rewards and benefits are getting a little bit out of hand.
Like, because I've been top brass, meaning like the highest, basically past the point where I can still get rewards for I think like at least 5 months or so, because I see so many goddamn movies. I feel like I should be able to get a free entree every 10 tickets or so. Is that too much to ask?
Yeah, and the thing with the rewards program is that the ideal strategy for it, technically, is to make 2 accounts and use them like 1 year on, 1 year off, because the points take a year to expire.
Right.
So if you build them up to the top and then just keep on getting more and more points, then you're never going to get back to the rewards territory. Whereas if you let them expire and then start over from 0, then you can earn the rewards again.
Fuck, I wish I knew. Because, like, I knew that was generally the case. I thought it would just reset to 0. Because I joined in August when I first moved here, close to an Alamo. I thought I was like, all right, I'm about to reset here. But I fucked myself. Unless they fix it, I kind of hope they do. Oh well.
I think, yeah, it's probably worth trying to keep those points as high as they are, because I feel like it's gotta change to reward people with high points at some point in the future, right? So you don't want to just dump them out.
How many points do I have? Right, the number's going to be really depressing because like a free movie a day. And like on summer vacation, I have 77 points.
Yeah, you're like 20 over a full year's worth of like if you went every single week.
Ugh.
I only have 19 right now, but yeah, I'm still building it up. I still have more rewards to earn, so I'm hoping that by the time I pass those, then eventually they'll have something that incentivizes keeping the points high, because it's kind of silly that you would just have to make a new account and start over from scratch every time.
Just give me a free thing every 10 points. They have so much of my goddamn money.
Genuinely, yeah. I mean, the food is overpriced as is. Like, there's no way. They probably get huge returns whenever people actually do order that stuff.
Honestly, yeah. And like those, I'm like autistic and obsessed with being in the loop of movie conversation, but also like I fucking just love the Alamo Drafthouse. It is as good coffee if I want to break from my usual coffee. They play the old commercials that, like you said, I really don't want them to get rid of. I'll never forget, like, oh man, I think a core memory got built when I saw Mutant Mayhem, and it was right after my first week at my new job. You know, a little tired post work, but relaxing, unwinding in that recliner, getting a pizza and a shake, and they're like doing the pre-show of Ninja Turtle commercials, and I get a taste of that every time I go there because they love their old commercials and all their shit, and they play like it was the first theater near us to get friggin' Bottoms because they were just all over that indie release. And that was my favorite fucking movie of last year. And I hope they don't like lose that spirit and that enthusiasm for obscure limited release shit too.
No, yeah, they really need to keep the pre-shows. I really love those.
Well, here's hoping. I've never known a big corporation to do the right thing, but if it'll mean more money for them, maybe they'll do some loyalty reward stuff. Do we have other news bulletins to discuss?
Do you have any, Dad? Because I don't have any off the top of my head.
Nope, I don't have any.
Well, befitting taking a month off. This is probably our longest episode ever. I think we just croached like 3 hours, maybe a little bit less.
Huh? Oh, I was just gonna say, I think it's gonna be like exactly 3.
Yeah. Well, I am going to plan another trip to the Alamo Drafthouse, and I'm Tommy.
I am going to plan a trip down to Legoland on Friday, and I'm Will.
And I'm going to plan a trip right back to the hospital where I came from because I have diabetes, and that's what happens. And I'm Dav.
Good night, everybody. It's great to be back.